right. Not gonna waste no more y'all time. What's going on, everybody? Let's not waste no more time. But we starting. Actually, shoot, I'm starting right on time anyway. I thought I was running a little behind, but I'm pretty much right on time. Big dog,
What's up, man?
what's up?
Man, just blessed, man.
Good to hear.
Blessed, man. We're good. We good. What's going on your end, bro? Y'all straight down there?
Oh yeah, we chilling. I know it got kind of bad in Dallas.
Man, we were shut down.
We
My
was
kids.
we were shut down for like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, we still haven't been. My kids ain't been in school since Monday. Monday at like 12 o'clock. I had to pick them up, bro. So we ready to get back at it. We ready to get back at it, man.
What the hell, Terrance?
Terrence, he
Just
he
say you
missed.
can't make it, bro. That's
Yeah,
all.
he missed the memo, dog. He missed the memo, dog.
All right, bro. So we got. I've been catching a little bit of flack for something I said about AR, but we gonna talk about that. I see Benny just hopped on,
There we go.
but I don't see the camera yet, so I don't know. I'll wait till he show up. I don't know if he got connection problems or not.
Yeah. See, bro, I'm telling you,
There you go. There you go.
AR is going to be probably the most polarizing football conversation we've had probably 10 years. What's up, Benny?
What's going on, fellas?
How you doing, man? Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see y'all, man.
Been a minute. My boy done got married, then switched schools on us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Benny been busy.
Yeah, I remember last time. I think you were about to get married, right? You were engaged. I think I remember the conversation we had. You were.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm trying to
How's
get like
married?
y'all.
How's married life treating you?
It's great. It's great, man. I saw y'all lives and I was like, man, I gotta get like y'all.
Nah, that's Jerk life. Jerk, you muted.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying chill,
Oh.
man. Oh boy.
Oh man, so yeah, I want to talk about this AR stuff because, like you said, it's a very polarizing conversation.
Hmm.
People really split down the middle. So I guess we could just start there. We also got the Super Bowl to talk about, and really, y'all know how we do, man. We just gonna touch on anything and everything. But I kind of want to start with Anthony Richardson and this top 10 projection and whether that's warranted or valid or not.
I'm interested to hear Benny's thoughts because I know you didn't heard mine.
Okay, Benny, go ahead and start us off.
So they're saying Anthony Richardson is a
So
that he's
NFL
gonna
scouts are saying that they are, or allegedly that allegedly NFL scouts are saying Anthony Richardson is a top 10 player in this draft.
um who he's a top 10 talent, but as far as playing, I don't.
Let me ask you this, Benny,
I
because
don't.
this is where I sit in that conversation. Um, is I don't think it's a top 10 talent conversation. I think it's more like number one, right? I think if you just look at physical ability, I think he's only 21 years old. I could be wrong about that, but
He's
you look at physical ability, he's big as Cam Newton. He runs as nimble as any running back you can find. He can throw the ball 150 yards, it seems like, right? And for me, you saw what they did with the kid in Buffalo, Josh Allen, right? If Josh Allen is a top 10 draft pick based on what we saw in college at Wyoming, then you have to say the same thing about Anthony Richardson. But I think the problem that Richardson has is I think Bryce Young is generational, and I think CJ Stroud made himself a lot of money in the Georgia game. That's where I think the argument with Richardson kind of gets a little You know what I'm saying? But I wouldn't be mad if somebody looked at Richardson and said, "Hey, man, just give me a year." You know what I'm saying? Give me a year because I'm gonna figure that out. And we've had our conversations with Adrian about Napier and his usage of Richardson because
That's what
that was
ruined it.
just that was just non-existent. He didn't exploit Richardson as much as he could have, in my opinion. But that's where I stand on the conversation, Benny. It's like if you're looking at Josh Allen at Wyoming, he put up below average numbers at best, but they took him just because of the talent. I think Richardson's twice as talented as Josh Allen was coming out of college. That's just my view on it.
What you got, Benny? What you got?
Uh,
Like you thinking?
he's talented. He really is. I guess when these franchises are looking at quarterbacks, and they're looking at players in general, I guess they look at it like, well, we have pro coaches, so our pro coaches are better than your college coaches, and they didn't use him right. He wasn't in the right system, but he's a tools, and we can use the tools, and so I guess that's what they see in him. Um, and then it also goes into fit. If I'm a team that's picking in the top 10, and I'm not a team that got there from a trade, that pick from a trade, and I need like immediate help, I don't. I mean, I don't see that being a good fit. Um, or if I'm a team that like needs a whole team, like say the Texans aren't a quarterback away from being a playoff team. They need a lot of players, you know. So, but if you've got a veteran quarterback that you could be like on the way out, like a Matt Ryan with the Colts. I don't know where they're picking. Where they're picking, you got a guy who could play another year or two, and you can sit him. I mean, that wouldn't be a horrible pick, but I guess it's just situational with that.
See, I think we'd be easily on the same page when we're talking about the reality that no, he's not a franchise saver, right? Like you can't trust the kid, right? Like on the football field, you can't trust him yet. You can't trust that in the NFL when you're allowed maybe three mistakes a game, that he's not going to make them three mistakes in the first quarter. You get what I'm saying? And
Mm.
from that standpoint, I agree totally. I'm just looking at it from the reality of the situation, right? You have you mentioned like the Colts, right? They're trying to get some kind of stability over there. I'm sure they're probably talking about Derek Carr. There'll probably be a team that's talking about him. A team like the Saints, right? They're probably talking about bringing in a veteran, looking for a guy to groom. I'm going to be selfish. I'm gonna say Tampa Bay is probably going to bring in a veteran, and then look for a guy to groom because they're sitting there late, right? So you take a kid that is he's a video game player. You know what I'm saying? Like he's everything that you want in your guy when you play Madden because you put up 100 with him, and you say, can I give myself? Can I buy 12 months to get him on the field like they did with Patrick Mahomes? You get what I'm saying? That's where you got to be at because even when people talk about Mahomes, they're like, "Oh, the Bears passed on Mahomes, whatever." There's no way Mahomes went to Chicago and played with him.
And yeah, I was gonna say Mahomes goes to Chicago. He's probably not the player you see today.
No, he's probably out. Not I'm going to say out the league, but he may be just catching on. You
You
get what I'm
feel me?
saying, bro?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So, but I mean, I've talked on here all the time, Benny, or with Adrian all the time. I think Bryce Young is a lock. Like I don't think there's any way. Like if I'm the Texans and I wanted a quarterback to build around, I could trust that kid. I like C.J. Stroud. Like what C.J. Stroud did against Georgia, I think after we saw what Georgia did to TCU, everybody's like, well, who's this Stroud kid, right? I mean, everybody knows him, but you got to look at his stock now. I mean, he was dicing them up, and he was down two receivers. You know what I'm saying? So
Uh-huh.
I think them two guys, those are my real. If I'm the Texans, if I'm the Colts, and I need a play now guy, that's who I'm talking about, right? But I think, to your point, those teams that just maybe they feel like they got some time to build something around and they can get a vet in. I don't see how you could pass on Richardson, man. I think he's that talented. I think he's that talented. I know Alo got some flack from his people because, would you say Alo today on Twitter? You said something.
So basically, I mean, I think he's an electric talent, and I know people are looking at his high school. And look, I'm not high school. I'm sorry, college, and I'm ready to make the jokes. Look, I'm a Florida State fan, so I'm gonna make the jokes on the Gators all day. But Billy didn't use them right. Billy came into Florida saying scared money don't make money. And yet you were scared to run this man because your excuse was, well, we didn't have quarterback depth. Well, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if you don't play him to his skill set, you was going to lose how many? They lost 7 games. If he gets hurt, then you was going to lose those games anyway. You should at least let him go out there and do what he does, in my opinion. So you didn't do him any favors in the way you utilized him. But see, I see Lewis in the comments, and I'm gonna get to you, Chris. I see your super chat saying he's a 3rd or 4th round pick. The man's not dropping a 3rd or 4th round. Here's what I'll say about AR. He's a very this reminds me a lot of Jamarcus Russell in the sense of he's a talent that I don't know if you can pass up, but the buzz rate is extremely high here. Absolutely. His guy can absolutely, you take him and he could be out the league in 3 years or probably change positions or whatever. But I think AR is I don't know, man. I don't know how many 6'4", 230, 4'4" guys you've seen with the arm like that. And
he's that tall?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I guess he's so muscular that he doesn't look that tall.
Yeah.
He looks, I think if you look at him, because I've had that thought too, Benny, like proportion wise, he looks more like 6 foot 225. You know what I'm saying? Like he looks just like a bigger running back. His body, typically with those tall guys, you see the the torso to leg ratio is usually a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? And you look at him, he definitely looks like a running back. Like he really, really looks like a true
I like
running
Braxton
back.
Miller, right?
Yeah, just a heavier Braxton Miller, but man, he's every bit of 6'4", man. He's huge, huge, and that's why I think, Benny, when you were on here the last time you was on here, you were talking about like the physics, right? The physics, the genetics essentially that goes into like these recruiting rankings, right? Like if you're 6'5", that means every step you're taking X amount of inches as compared to a guy that's 6'2", or all that data, right? And I think if you're looking at Richardson and you're looking at that data, there's not a box that you can't check. You know what I'm saying? Physically, there's not a box that you can't check. You just have to ask yourself, what kind of kid am I getting? Like, is he a football rat or is he just a great athlete? You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask y'all a question. I want you all to correct me if I'm wrong. I would argue, and this includes the first round quarterbacks, there's probably I'm gonna say 10% of them can go to any situation and be successful. We're talking Peyton Manning. We're talking guys that could have went to any NFL team and probably still been who they ended up being. I would argue the other 90%, it's all about fit and where you end up.
Sure. I mean,
because like AR, that's why I use Mahomes as not a comparison in terms of talent, but in terms of what you kind of need. You need a team. He needs to sit behind Alex Smith or Kirk Cousins, maybe Minnesota. Like if he can drop to 15, 16, drop to maybe one of those playoff teams, and if he can sit, I think you got something there. Now, if you're the team that's asking him to come in day one, and you're probably doing this thing wrong if that's what you got.
Let me ask you this, both of y'all this. Benny, you put yourself in that situation, right? Even at the high school level, because I'm sure you get that every year, right? No matter what position, you have a kid that just physically is there, right? If you were the guy making the decision, come game day, as the guy you're going to take, are you going to take the guy who is going to give you the chance to make the most plays, right? Or are you going to take the guy that you can trust? Because that's really, if we're talking about a day one player, that's the conversation that you're having about this kid, right? Is his athleticism going to make me enough plays to get me somewhere, right? Just maybe I can run the ball like Jacksonville with Blake Bortles, take the ball out the quarterback's hands, and I just need you to make 3 or 4 plays a game, right? Or do I really want the guy that I can trust on the field? Like, because I feel that that's what the discussion comes down to when you talk about that kid,
I want the guy I can trust because, as a coach, and sometimes it could be to our detriment, we still feel like we can coach our way out of situations or coach our way to a win. So and the vast majority of the time, it's true. We can do that. So that's why I want a guy I can trust. That I know if I tell him, hey, when you get this look, this is where we're gonna go. But if you got a guy that's so athletic that he kind of defies logic, I mean, it is hard to not play him. But in this case, the fit is so important.
I got a team. I think that might be a perfect fit. Seattle. Geno's not the future there, obviously.
Right.
But there's the bridge right there. You take him. I don't know. There's not a bunch of big expectations in Seattle. So you can let AR marinate for a year. Let Geno. Geno had a good. I think Geno made a Pro Bowl this year, right? Geno had a good year.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a serviceable guy for the next couple of years until AR's ready. I mean, I think Seattle with Pete Carroll might be a good fit.
Well, so I just to throw out some numbers, and only because it's familiar in this chat, right? So y'all beat Florida 45-38, right? Anthony Richardson completed a third of his passes, 9 of 27.
Yeah.
But when he completed them,
they went home.
It's 198 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, look what he did against Tennessee. I think he threw for 400 plus against Tennessee.
I think it leads to you asking yourself, like, you have to have the conversation. I don't think you write him off. I think if you're Houston, you write him off, right? Like we just had, Benny, you made a perfect point. Like, Houston, you got so many problems. You can't.
Yeah, you can't take.
You can throw Patrick Mahomes in there and win 10 games next year. You know what I'm saying? So you got a whole lot of work to do. Even like Chicago's already got their guy. Indianapolis. I don't think Indianapolis has a lot of true issues. I think they could, need some explosiveness on the edge and stuff like that. But I don't even think as an organization that they're ready to take a step forward. You know what I'm saying? Like not with the kid like that. But to your point, Adrian, if I go to Seattle and I sit behind Geno, I think Seattle had the 2 best rookie tackles in the league. I could be wrong. They were up there though, and you just give me time to build a relationship with Metcalf and Lockett and bring in another, yeah, you can be talking about Richardson being a guy in 2 years or so.
It's all about where he fits, all about where he lands. I guess people want to get on me because it's like I'm saying the guy's the next Cam Newton or something. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he's a talent that I don't think you can just scoff at. I think, and of course, FSU fans, the hate runs deep, so they're going to get on me just because I'm talking good. But, hey, man, once they leave college, I'm actually looking at the player. I don't really care about the college he went to. I'm actually looking at the individual talent.
Let me throw something out back to Benny, because, Benny, you talked about kind of like the coach's detriment, right? Is that believing that you can kind of coach your way out of anything, right? Especially when you got a kid that you can trust, right? But the last time I was coaching football, it's 10 years ago now. I coached in Boca Raton, right? Coached at Boca High and Pope John Paul. And Benny, you remember when we went down to play Pope John Paul in high school? Y'all had a field day, right? I mean, let's call it what it was. I mean, Boca Raton, Florida is not oozing with football talent, right? So, you have the kids that you can trust. We had a D1 quarterback, a future D1 quarterback, and Kevin Anderson, who played at Fordham and Marshall. You had some good kids, but then you play at Belgrade, and Belgrade got 6 kids that, hey, you don't need to scheme nothing up.
No, they just naturally gifted.
You just put it in that kid's hands. We when we played, we went to Belgrade. I think it's 2011 maybe. And we go out there and we see your Kelvin Benjamin while he's in high school. There's, what are you scheming up, right? You know the motto in Glade Central. Benny, they throw the ball out there, go get it. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like obviously the NFL is a whole nother level, but I've always, I guess my last couple of years, I was on the receiving end of like, man, I wish I had 4 of them. You know what I'm saying? I wish I had 4 or 5 of them, man, because it makes life so much easier when you can say, the thing that I do trust is that if I give him 5 chances, he's gonna break one of them. You know what I'm saying? Versus I know I'm going to be in 1st and 10 and 2 downs anyway because I know he's going to make the right check. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's definitely a tough situation to be in, and I guess that's what makes the conversation hard. You know. Anyway, I had a little bit of a flashback, man, because boy, we be out there. I don't know if you guys know the name Cravon LeBlanc, who ended up playing. You know him, Benny.
Craig, I don't know if you Jordan, you were at Roosevelt, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't remember his brother? You don't remember Craig?
That's his brother?
Craig LeBlanc. Yeah, he was a year before us.
Uh-huh.
He was I mean, Craig LeBlanc's a really, really good athlete. Craig was like through the roof. But yeah, that's his brother. But yeah, Cravon.
Yeah, I didn't. So we had a play, and I wish my boy Moody was there. He'd tell you. We had a play against them. Cravon comes off the opposite hash on a 40-yard bomb down the sideline and cribs it. Right, I'm talking about we're outside the numbers, left side throwing a 9 route. He comes opposite hash, takes it off, and cribs it. Right, and it's like, man, when you see guys like that on the football field, it's such a luxury to have guys that are super talented, right? And I think that's part of the conversation with Richardson is even if I give him a year to get into it, when he does touch the field, not too many guys are going to be able to, to make a defender miss and extend the play, and you know what I'm saying, and operate off schedule like that, man. It's just a blessing to have, man. Absolutely a blessing to have, man.
Let me get to Chris real quick. Let me get to Chris with the $9.99. Appreciate you, Chris.
Big Chris.
He says, "What's up, guys? Orlando on the check-in." Yeah, I appreciate you, Chris, with the super chat.
Bitch, be humble. Sit down. Be humble. Sit down.
Hey, we gonna stop.
No, we're not.
Listen, I try to tell him that's somebody's baby out there. That's somebody's baby out there. You know? Brother Brooklyn, his potential's too tantal. Yup. That's the conversation. That's the conversation with HR.
I agree with that. I agree with that too. If you got 2 years where I know I got a guy in front of him for a year or two, I agree.
And that's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying the guys, the next whatever. I'm just saying if you got a right situation, he can do something.
Yeah,
he can do something. What about I don't know. Where do you want to go next, Juerg? Go ahead.
I kind of want to talk to Benny, man. Benny done switched schools. He's still coaching here in Texas. I mean, so you got to peel out real quick. But
no, I'm right.
What school? What school?
Yeah, Benny. What school are you at now?
Right here, A.Leaf Taylor.
And that's Houston area, right?
The home of is A.Leaf, Texas. On the outskirts of Houston, southwest side, the SWAT, the pride of A-Leaf. We have 3 schools, and we're the pride of A-Leaf. Mm-hmm. Home of the Bennett brothers.
Mm-hmm.
They went there. Obo Okoronkwo with the Texans. He went there. Kalu. A bunch of NFL guys have come through there. I think the numbers upwards of 30 NFL guys have come out of the school.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm there, man, having a great time with the kids. Pretty cool.
How'd y'all do this past season?
Playoffs again, back-to-back years, playoff appearances. Getting the kids out. I think we had 10 guys on signing day last year. A total of like 14 end up going to school. And then this year we signed 2 in December. Senegal Rice and another guy's going to Wyoming. I think 9 total on just this past Wednesday.
Wow.
And then we'll have a couple more guys go, probably like another 3 or 4. So yeah, man, the program is on the rise and continuing to help the kids, man. That's the main thing. Like wins and losses, I mean, they're nice to have, but the main thing is, we're just trying to impact the kids.
Yeah.
Make sure that, they're going to school for free. That's what we want.
You Benny, that's awesome, man. I didn't realize, first off, that Alif, everybody, when he says the Bennett brothers, he's talking about Martellus and Marcellus, correct? They're not Martellus and Marcellus. Michael,
Michael
sorry.
Bennett.
And Michael Bennett, they were dogs. They both went to A&M. Am I wrong about that?
I'm not sure where Michael went. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but real quick, we have right here Manja Fernandez. He is the legendary secondary coach and legendary track coach.
Dope.
In the state. He works. I work with him, man. It's a pleasure to work with him. He's
awesome.
A-Leaf all day. So he jumped on the comments. So
appreciate you for tuning in.
Yeah, appreciate that, Manja. Yeah, man, that's dope, man. Yeah, I didn't realize, again, that you even mentioned Okoronkwo. He went to Oklahoma, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
He went to Oklahoma. He was a part of that. Wasn't he on that playoff team that they had under Riley with Baker and all of them? I'm sorry, I was just trying to.
He was with Baker.
Was he with Baker?
I believe so.
I think so. I just remember him just being a little twitchy guy off the edge, man. And I know he was drafted by St. Louis and all that. So being that you still obviously in the Houston Metro, right?
Mm-hmm.
You still see a lot of Texas football.
Right.
I know their guys just took a guy out of Texas, out of South Oak Cliff. My question to you is anything changing, right? Do you see any shift in football in Texas? Do you see any shift in dynamic, any shift in style? Is there a guy on offense out there right now that's really cooking, that's coming up? Like, you know what I'm saying? Anything like that?
This 7-on-7 thing, the 7-on-7 leagues. So a lot of people, especially if their trainers on here watching this, they may be like, oh, what is he about to say now? I'm not opposed to it.
Sure.
But what it is doing is it's giving the guys more live action, more live practice. So a lot of people are going out there and trying to win the tournaments, and cool, you do want to win, but it's about development as well. So I think that it's like AAU basketball, where the high school kids they get to college and they're a little bit more ready to play. It's the same thing. These freshmen can make a little bit more of an impact because they're used to going up against the top guys in the country. So I think it's allowing people who do take freshmen. It's not an automatic red shirt. Now, it may not be an automatic day one starter, but it's like, well, let's get him in a little bit here. Let's give him 15 plays this game. It's great to see how he does. And then, the next game, let's give him 5 more. Let's give him 10 more. And then next thing you know, game 5 or 6, even you in the media conference schedule, you may be starting a freshman. So I think that's what's going on. That's really impacting college football, like in the recruiting from out here. But I mean, the kids are getting better. They're getting faster. They're getting stronger. I mean,
Benny, I gotta tell you, bro. Not to jump in, but I gotta jump in on that. I really, really hate when and I'm not gonna say ignorant, I'm gonna say uneducated. Uneducated fans think that the game today has somehow gotten easier, right? Because I think these kids, because of things like that, because of 7-on-7, because coaches are now more tuned into the science, because you're getting reps 12 months out of the year, right? 7-on-7 really doesn't stop, right? You're getting reps, just a little downtime. But you
Yeah.
know, you're looking at these guys coming to college, and especially to me, defenders. I think it's harder than ever to throw the football. I
Well,
just think
defensively, yeah, defensively.
yeah, I think the type of athlete that you have out there has seen so much now. You know what I'm saying? They've
Mhm.
seen every route concept you can think of going through those 7-on-7 reps. That man, I think by the time they get to college, I think it's a lot harder than it was, say, 15 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just a lot of people just say, "Oh, you know, the physicality is not in the game." Well, yeah, the physicality is not there, but man, it's a skill game now. It requires a
Yeah.
whole lot of skill now. You know,
Mhm.
sorry, it's my bad. Sorry to cut you off there, but I'm just like, man, so many people
Are
say,
you good?
you know, oh, it makes football soft. No, man, these kids, man, yeah, I remember. I think we were talking about it, Adrian, maybe 2-3 years ago. But a high school quarterback looks at cover 2, cover 3 now, and they're like, no big deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, they'll
Mhm.
come out and dice that up 9th, 10th grade like it's nothing, and that wasn't the case 10, 15 years ago at all.
All right.
I think the 7-on-7 game. The reason why I roll my eyes is just because of how much stock like the recruiting services put into that. I think you can over evaluate kids or whatever, but I think the 7-on-7 game really helps the offensive players. I don't think it really helps the defensive players personally.
You don't think so?
Not really.
So
I
I
mean,
go back.
you got defenders covering. I guess you can say maybe it helps because defenders have to cover more, but in a game you're not covering that long anyway, like the way they do
True.
it in the 7-on-7 game. So I think it helps quarterbacks mostly in the 7-on-7 game because, like Juerg say, these kids see these looks and they know what they're looking at by the time they get to college.
But I think it helps the secondary guys because now I don't have a D line masking my flaws.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm playing 7-on-7, I got to cover. And so am I going to get beat? It's going to happen.
I guess my
There's no.
thing is, I don't mean to cut you off. But I guess my thing is, I don't care how good you are, you can't cover forever. No DB can cover forever.
No, yeah, you're right. You're right about that.
So
But
what's it really teaching? I guess that's my question. What is it really doing?
it's really enhancing your skills. So in college, we probably did a little bit more 7-on-7 because of June.
Yeah.
But as time went on, it turned from at first it's like 85, 90% completion rate, which is what it's supposed to be. But eventually, as we got better and better and better, it went from 90, 85, 90% to now you're down to 60. And now these aren't scrubs we're covering. We're covering Cole Beasley every day. We're covering Emmanuel Sanders every day, Al Robinson, Darius Johnson. There's a bunch of guys that play in the league. Like these are guys you're covering. So it's really sharpening your skills. Now if you're weak-minded,
Mm-hmm.
it can damage you. But if you're up for the challenge and you want to compete every day, it helps the defense as well. And I really think who gets the most out of it is the linebackers. Because let's be honest, like, and even in this era of like run and shoot and spreading it out, you have to be very physical at the point of attack as a linebacker. So you are focusing on that in the practice. But when I get a chance to constantly work on my pass drops, constantly work on the high-low situations, things like that, the linebackers really benefit from it.
I think you saying high low, Benny. A lot of football fans know and understand the high low concept, right? It's usually an easy read for the quarterback. That's why smash concepts are there, flood concepts are there, right? To give the quarterback, hey, pick 1-2 or 1-2-3, read deep to short, etc. Right? People don't know that used to put kids in a conundrum, right? Defenders, 10 years ago, a high-low concept used to mean death. You know what I mean? It's like you pick one and you live with it. And I think that's such a good point. If I see it, if I take 1,000 reps against high-low between the end of my high school football season and the beginning of my fall season, now I'm coming in the fall and I'm a better football player. Just understanding how to react to that concept. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not just a straight passing concept. That's a play action concept, right? all of that stuff. So I think that's a really good point to make, man. Because I remember when I was back in coaching, everything we used to do was just dial up high low and let a defender pick. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Let a defender pick. But if you can learn how to actually manage it to keep your spacing and things like that, it'll give an offense fits. I think it's a really, really good point to make, man.
Yeah.
Really,
And
really
then to Alo's, well, he was talking about the rankings only look at the 7-on-7, and it's kind of boosting kids. And to an extent, you're right. But what it does is there's some under appreciated players when they go on 7-on-7
Yeah.
teams, when they go that really gets them other looks. But again, like I think we talked about it the last time I was on, those stars they hit more than they miss.
Yeah, no, I
For
agree.
sure.
You know,
I try to
and
explain
then,
that all the time.
yeah, they hit. These people they're not stupid. Now, do they miss on a few guys? Because sometimes you don't know a guy's background. You don't know everything the kid's dealing with. But like, for instance, like what do they scientists over time have said, you know, once in order to meet world-class standards, the guy has to be 6'3", and that's why you see more guys who are 6'3" that can play halfway decent. You're going to see those are more the guys who are the 4 or 5 star guys. Now your 5'10" guy is going to be he's going to be dynamic, but in order, like science proves, 6'3" is the bar. Like once you get over 6'3", now you can start breaking world records on, you know, physical attributes and competitions. So, but I mean, the 7-on-7, it's cool, but they still turn on the tape now. They still don't. They still turn on the high school tape, and they still say, you know, what is this guy doing with pads? You know, if he can cover, but he's really afraid to come up and put his hands on people or come make a tackle. I mean, they're gonna see that. They're gonna see that. You know, now is that gonna stop a guy from offering them? Probably not, because I can coach mentality.
Yeah.
So, and then if a guy was going out there and he's locking up the South Florida Express, they got everybody and their mama on that team.
Yeah.
And I'd lock them up. I probably got something. And if you out there locking these cats up, I probably want you.
Probably can do something with you.
Yeah.
That's funny you mentioned SFE, man, because I think they got 2 5-stars, 2 5-star receivers on SFE, and they just pull a quarterback from wherever. They'll pull a quarterback that lives in Montana to come down and sling it to these kids. And it was Trader and Josiah Trader. Who's the other one? The one that's going to Ohio State. Smith. Isn't it Jeremiah Smith?
Yeah,
I have to look him up, but I think that's his name.
Yeah, I mean they're always loaded, man. Benny, is there anybody, I guess, in the circuit right now, right, or that you've seen in the last year that's kind of like a sleeper to you? You know, that's not a 5-star kid. Texas got a ton of them, right? Because I mean, there's 1,000 high schools in Texas, but there's any sleepers that you're looking at right now, whether it's on your side or, you know, from other teams that you're really impressed with in the last year?
I mean, most of them have they get there. You know, they're giving them their due credit.
You got a favorite that you've seen this year?
An opposing player?
Yeah.
Man, we played against some really good kids. Shadow Creek has one. The sophomore kid, Watson.
From Shadow Creek.
He played receiver. Then when the quarterback, their senior quarterback, he was pretty good too. He went down. He got hurt. This kid stepped in at quarterback, and you know they went undefeated in the regular season. And I think LSU offered him.
Mm-hmm.
He's only a sophomore right now.
I'm looking at him right now.
Yeah, he played on varsity as a freshman. His name's gonna kind of start blowing up. I know I'm missing somebody, but that was the first one that came to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
As far as being a big time guy, like somebody that's gonna be a national recruit, him. I'm trying to think who else.
You mentioned the LSU offer. Are we still in the era of kids waiting on the Bama offer. Do you think that's still a thing right now?
No, I'm waiting on that. I'm waiting on that bag offer.
There we go. There we go.
Like if I'm a cat that, you know, like I'm doing all right, my people's doing all right, but I mean, somebody say, you know,
Man,
they
Jerry,
got
you bring up something good, and
half a million
I
dollars.
gotta ask Benny this because you're gonna bring up a good point. With you coaching in the high school ranks, have you seen the effect of this NIL on these kids, and what is the effect that you've seen?
Um, at our school, I wouldn't say no. We haven't had a national recruit since I've been there.
Okay.
Like if you go to a school like maybe like SOC, Duncanville,
Yeah.
maybe even North Shore, those are schools where like somebody on that staff that's a little closer to those kids, they'd be able to have a better, you know, they'd be able to give you a little bit more in-depth information about it, how it's going. But all the stories that I get, they're secondhand stories. So I personally don't know it.
Well, what's your opinion on it, on the NIL
I
space, and
don't
how
see
it's
I don't see any problem with it. The free
okay?
market, the free market is always fair. If a
Right.
kid, if a kid is, you know, worth $1 million a year, Nike's not going to give that kid $10 million a year. So
Mhm.
you're always going to get market value, and that value is, I think it's always fair. Like nobody's going to get, like Nick Saban's gonna, what is Nick Saban making, like $11 million a year?
Yeah, something
I
like
think
that.
so. I think so.
There's no
Yeah.
kid that's gonna make $11 million is worth more than Nick Saban, you know, or Kirby Smart, you know, or Matt Campbell. Y'all know I'm still on that Matt Campbell stuff. Like I think
Yeah.
kind of deal, turn their whole athletic department over to him. But
Yeah.
so I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, I saw how much money we made on one game. We beat Kaepernick in the Hawaii Bowl. And you're trying to tell me out of that $35 million worth of, you know, TV exposure, you're trying to tell me I'm not worth 10 bands? So I have no problem with the kids getting their money. I think they should be getting their money if everybody else is profiting off of it. But what I would like to see is more, uh, and it could be happening, I could be wrong, but I would like to see more advising going on with that money. You know,
Yeah.
maybe more teaching, and not just from some Wall Street guys, but from guys like Coach Prime. And that's why another reason why he'd be a really good guy to go play for it. You're gonna get your money, but he's gonna show you how to, you know, avoid the mistakes that he made. And so, I mean, I think it's cool. And they say it's coming to high schools. I'm not tripping. I mean,
Sure.
it is
Sure.
what it is. I mean, there's free agency going on right now. You could be coaching a kid every day in fifth period, and you know
Yeah, I know how the high school game works.
his
I
parents
try
are
to tell people
shopping.
high school they recruit just as much as college. People just don't know about it.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do about it. If a kid doesn't want to be there, he doesn't want to be there. Let him
Right.
go. The kids that do want to be there, you're going to get more out of them anyway. So,
Right.
you know, and they deserve that opportunity for being bought in and invested into the program. So, I mean,
Benny, let me jump in real quick because you mentioned you know, if you got a kid that comes from a good family, you know, he's straight, his people straight, they got good jobs, you know, that maybe changes the way he approaches the process, right? You know, where we come from, I always tell people here in Texas, the South Florida Youth League culture is very different than what it is out here. There's not a lot of high school influence, right? So, you know, we all know, we all know kids from elementary school, middle school that had their groceries paid by some guy so that they could go play pee wee ball. You know what I'm saying? Things like that, right? So I guess what I'm getting at is you're looking at the NIL process. Obviously, if I'm in a destitute situation, I'm looking for the money, right? But when you're talking to kids, and let's say this situation pops up because you said it hasn't happened yet, don't you think that football still should be the supreme factor, right? I mean, an extra 500,000 from and I'll call Miami out. An extra 500 grand from Miami right now isn't as trustworthy as the money that you're going to get when you go to Nick Saban. You get what I'm saying? Let's just call it what it is. You know what I mean? So, do you think that these kids need to pay more attention to that side of the conversation, the football side, where they really get their money at?
Yeah, you got to keep the main thing the main thing. But at the same time, I've never had anybody offer me $500,000 at one time to do something that I'm gonna go do anyway.
Right.
And then if you take the bag up front and you don't like it with this transfer portal,
That's true.
I can go get the bag somewhere else.
That's very true.
I mean, now if I'm balling, I might not go nowhere, or I might hop in the portal so we can renegotiate so I can get even more money.
That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, and cats going back to the same school. So you want to keep the main thing, but Nick Saban probably doesn't have to offer as much because of who his resume. So if Nick Saban says, Ben, I'm gonna give you 50,000, Crystal Ball called me, Ben, I'm gonna give you $500,000, and you can come down here on South Beach, and you're from Missouri, Chicago. Yeah. Like Saban gonna have to talk to me a little bit more to get me to come there. And so it's tough. You gotta weigh that option because you can go to Saban and do your thing, especially as a DB. But the thing is, he's putting DBs out. But how many DBs aren't making it out too? So if I got a guaranteed $500,000, I can do. There's a lot of things I can do with $500,000 that I can do with, and it's guaranteed. And I still have the chance of going to the league. I still have that chance. If you a baller and they're paying you $500,000 just to sign you, you probably have NFL measurables, NFL ability. You just waiting your turn. You just waiting your time. Your 3 years for you to get out. So that's a tough one,
Well, let me ask you. So I'll touch on a situation I talked with Adrian about because, as a Miami fan, I followed Jaden Rashada's situation starting last June when he committed to Miami, right? And you had Rashada, who was committed to Miami, and then UF came in with this ghost, which is, by the way, I don't think any recruit should go to UF after this debacle, right? Whoever got in this kid's ear,
no recruit should listen to any number UF ever throws at him.
You should never. You shouldn't believe it, And I'll say that instead. Not shouldn't go to UF, but if you're talking money with me, I don't trust it. Right?
He's the only person that happened to. Everybody
so
else
far.
Well,
right.
He's the only one that was as public. There's rumblings that other players have also dealt with something, not on that scale, not on the $13 million scale that Rashada was on. There's other kids apparently that some things didn't go that was promised to them as well, but they still ended up signing with the university, and I guess they're working it out.
And this all happened at Florida?
Yeah.
So I just think you're looking at that situation because if I'm a recruit, Benny, again, if you're a DB and you're going to school, if you're a national recruit at DB, I'm going to want to go play with an elite linebacker. I'm going to want to go play with some elite pass rushers, right? From a football standpoint, I don't want to be the only kid there, right? I don't want to be, a 5-star kid going to FAU. No disrespect to FAU, go Owls, right? Because I know I'm going to be left out on an island by myself. I need some help. You know what I'm saying? And Rashada, to me, took lesser, right, from a football standpoint to get the monetary thing. Ended up screwing him over, and now he's at Arizona State. He's probably going to play right away, which is cool, right? But I think from a football standpoint, the kid takes less. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I asked that question, because it's like, are you really whoever's advising these kids, are they really looking at big picture?
Well, from a football standpoint, I think he's going to go to a conference that's he's going to put up numbers.
108th. I think, what was it? They have one defense over top 60 last year.
Yeah, I mean, like he's gonna be like Michael Penix and these guys.
He play a little sooner at Arizona State. Even if he would have gone to Miami, he wasn't playing next year.
No, he wasn't.
There was no guarantee he was going to play at Florida,
right?
Right away. And if he did, it was strictly a business decision because I paid this kid this much money. He has to play.
He has to
But that
play.
doesn't automatically mean it's the best thing for him.
I guess what I'm saying is, Benny, is that if I'm a quarterback, like this has always been the natural thing, right? Like I don't know if y'all know the story of Tim Tebow, but when Tebow went to visit Alabama, Brandon Spikes was there on that visit with him, right? And at Alabama, Spikes asked him, "Where you going?" He said, "I'm going to Florida." Spikes said, "All right, I'm going to Florida too." That's 2 5-stars, right? Like, that's traditionally how this goes, right? If I'm going, I'm bringing some dudes with me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, who is talking to this kid? Right? Who's talking to this kid or any kid? It could be Jaden. It could be, Tom, Dick, and Harry from next year's class to say, hey, man, just don't take that money if you're not going to have something to compliment you while you're there, right? Because that money can go south. At least to me, maybe you get 125K 1 year, but next year you might be worth 30 because everybody's trash around you. You get what I'm saying?
Well, the deals, you're right. You're right. It goes on to background. So with the 3 of us, our kids, $20,000, $30,000 probably won't sway our kids.
No, right.
$500,000, $1 million,
That's swaying anybody's kid.
Because I'm just gonna be honest, like it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah,
sure.
It's hard. Now, if your family is financially set, you got some parents that's kind of well off. The money isn't as important, but it's still important. And you got a point, and you're right. You do want to bring some guys with you, but depending on what the allowance is for that class, can kind of determine that too. But at the same time, I treat it like if I'm a quarterback, I'm gonna treat it like the NFL. Like they would tell them Dak take less money. Dak's job isn't to manage the salary cap.
Right.
My job if I'm the quarterback.
They say the same thing about LeBron too. About he should be taking less money.
That's not my job. They pay somebody a whole lot of money to manage the salary cap. And they pay me a lot of money because I got a weak skill that nobody else can do. So I'm gonna get my money, So it can go both ways. If I was a quarterback, I'd want to go somewhere with the line because I can find receivers and I can find a running back. But if I have a line, it doesn't matter who you have running the ball for you. If I've got some 4 or 5-star guys and they actually about that life, I can Juerg family said that. Girl, you ain't a little lamb, are you?
I'm close to it. I'm close enough.
You know who the most famous person at a Little Lamb is?
Who that?
My boy, Cole Beasley.
Is he really out of Little Elm?
Yeah.
That's funny, man. I'm right. Yeah.
You right there. But like, man, it's hard. It's hard to pass that bread up, man. Especially, and then some kids luck up in the school that they've always wanted to go to are the ones giving them that money. So it's like, okay, well, I was gonna go here for free.
But I'll even say this: to Juerg, what you were saying, I'm not sure kids even care about taking nobody with them anymore. Because Cromartie just went to Buffalo, and who'd he take with him?
Bro.
He didn't get nobody to come from Miami class to go with him.
Bro, it's a different Betty. I guess that's
what I'm trying to get. They're a little different nowadays. These kids are a little.
Cromartie McLean to Colorado.
That Dion flip from Miami.
So we were talking, and I wish
he got dogs out there. He bought Louis luggage with him.
Right, but so Ben, I gotta ask you about that, bro, because this is how I feel about it. First of all, and this is a talent thing for you. We had this talk 2 weeks ago now. I don't think Travis Hunter needs to play corner out there. I think he needs to play receiver. I think Travis Hunter could go play receiver for 2 years with Shador.
I think anybody that's watched Hunter at this point kind of is on that same page.
And that's number one. And I think number two is, I think Dion is doing what he's supposed to do, right? Deion Sanders, the brand, the entity that he is. If he's not getting the number one corner in every class, Dion, you better get a top 3 guy because that's who you are. You get what I'm saying? Whoever you love, Dion, that's the guy that you have to get, right? But I think the other side of it is, Benny, if you're looking at Colorado and what they're trying to achieve, when is Dion going to crack, I guess, bust through and really become an elite recruiter in the sense that I got 5-star defensive ends coming in, but not even 5-star, but you know what I'm saying? A top 150 D end, a top 150 D. Like you see what I'm
He's already
saying?
started it.
I want to see him finish that though. I need to see that class come in Colorado because I think why they're going is because I can trust the Dion brand more than I can trust anybody that's not Nick Saban or Kirby Smart at this point. You get what I'm saying?
He was behind because he switched, but he's literally flipped the roster in 45 days. Like so, and then now he's starting to get on track because he's starting to get commitments from the 24 class, and he got the boy out of was it Buford?
He just got a 4-star athlete. I forget his name.
Out of Louisiana.
But the line.
And he has a 4-star, I think, defensive lineman that he just recently.
Yeah, out of Georgia. He is it Omar something?
I don't remember.
Omar White.
Yeah, like it's coming, and then on the West Coast, he's going to end up getting a couple guys too. He's going to dip into Texas a little bit. The thing that also where I think you have to grade it on a scale is he doesn't have a natural recruiting home. Like he doesn't have a local recruiting home. Denver football, I mean, it ain't South Florida, it ain't DFW, it ain't Houston, it ain't even LA, or it's not Atlanta. So he has to travel. He's got to go a couple states over every time he needs a player. So if he finishes 15th, that's just as good as Kirby's number 2.
No, if Deion's able to recruit in the top 15, that's a win.
Well, and I would say that's what I'm waiting on. I'm also waiting on Benny, a quarterback.
But it can't be top 15 and you got 15 skill position players.
Correct.
You feel me?
Well,
correct.
Because you're not flipping nothing with that. You're not.
He's loading up on skill guys now because they were so much easier to get. This is what I believe. I'm not on the inside, but from the outside looking in, it was easier to get the skill guys now and to keep some of the linemen. Like I think I talked about the guy Van Wells last time we talked.
Yeah, Texas A&M, right?
No, he was the center at Colorado as a true freshman this past fall. So he's got enough guys there. He's got guys like Van where like I got enough linemen and he brought in some transfer guys, but the skill guys are a little easier to get because of who Prime is, and they know they're gonna play with Shedeur.
Right.
So that was a little easier now as he gets to this next class. It's like, okay, now my older guys are graduating, and now I have time to convince these younger kids, the linemen, to come. They'll come, but he knows he's got to get some dogs up front. He's still, regardless of this air raid stuff and tempo and all of that, it's still a line of scrimmage game. If you win the line of scrimmage, the team that can block and tackle the best, they win 95% of the games. So
where are you on Shedeur Sanders? We had that talk a couple weeks ago, right, Adrian? With Terrance about Shedeur. Some people say, I think it's only Fox, and this is probably with Deion's influence, to say that he's a Heisman contender, right? And I also go on to say he's a Heisman contender only if Travis Hunter gets 80 catches. You know what I'm saying? I'm just throwing that out there. I think Travis Hunter has got to play receiver, right? But if we're looking at Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback, how high are you on him, or how high aren't you on Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback?
I said he was a pro as soon as he came out of high school. I said he was going to be a pro. I say that he's not an elite athlete, but he makes up for it with understanding the game. I mean, you got a Hall of Fame daddy that's been teaching you.
Right.
and his maturity level. Is he gonna win the Heisman? I don't know. That's you know, is he gonna be in the top 10? I probably put a little money on it. Just because of the conference that he plays in. You know,
Right.
when they play they're playing, they'll probably take the L against TCU just on some program stuff, you know, being together so long, all that kind of stuff. But in the Pac-12, you got to beat USC. Utah gonna be the tough one. I think Utah has the best program.
Yeah,
They don't have kids, but they have the
because
best program in the league.
I agree because they play a different style of football than the rest of the Pac-12.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, you can tell there's a lot of coaching. It's not just let me go get these kids and throw them out there. You can tell there's a lot of development going on there. And then I guess Washington, we got to wait to see on Washington. But other than that, I mean,
You got Oregon still.
Who is he playing other than those two schools?
Don't sleep on UCLA.
I think Dante Moore steps in and starts at UCLA. I think he's going to be good. I don't know if he's good next year, right? But I think, to your point, Benny, I think there's going to be opportunity for him to do numbers, right? I think the Heisman talk is very premature because, again, in the same league, you got the Heisman winner from last year,
Absolutely.
Right.
And we all know, if we know anything, and this is no disrespect to Prime, but Lincoln Riley's the best offensive guy in that league by far. That's not even close, right?
Yeah.
You like him more than the Washington coordinator?
Absolutely. I think Riley's been
Washington plays some fun football on the offensive side of the ball.
On offense?
Well,
real quick.
They do. Washington plays some fun football.
Benny, I was on, and Adrian knows this, I was on Penix 2 years ago. I
And
thought
Indiana.
Penix.
Oh, he was killing it when he was at Indiana.
Yeah,
I was on Penix 2 years ago when I forgot who they beat 2 years ago, but I looked at Penix and I was like, that number one, he's an NFL guy. I don't think there's no way he isn't, right? But number two, he's one of those underrated Florida quarterbacks that people just, you know how it is in Florida, Betty. Nobody comes to look at the quarterback position. They don't.
He's from Tampa, right?
He's from Tampa. I think he went to Tampa Tech. I'm not sure.
Is it Tampa Tech? I think he is Tampa Tech.
I think he's Tampa Tech, but he was one of those guys I saw 2 years ago. I'm like, oh yeah, he's going to the league if he can stay healthy. And obviously, you know, Indiana,
he can't stay healthy.
that's the problem. But he had a great year last year. But I still think Riley is the absolutely the best coordinator in that league. And I think he makes football really easy for Caleb Williams. I don't know if Caleb Williams will repeat as Heisman, but he's gonna make a damn good case. That's why I don't put Shador in that conversation. You get what I'm saying? But I don't know. I think Shador is probably going to be a pro. I just think Colorado, who's he throwing to if it's not Travis Hunter? You get what I'm saying? That's what we got to figure out.
He got Jimmy Horn.
That's the other guy they got. Is Horn.
Horn. They signed like 5. They signed like 6. Like 4-star guys.
He got
out of those. He got the kid out of Orlando.
Let me ask, Benny. Let's be real, bro. Is any one of them dudes Travis Hunter? I mean, like, let's just be honest. Like, I'm biased. I'm an offensive guy, right? But you're not gonna sit here and tell me that any one of them dudes, maybe one of them, can give me what I think Travis Hunter can be a first rounder.
Horn.
You think Horn got it?
Horn can give you a lot of what Travis gives you.
Fair.
The problem with Travis is you can't play him exclusively on offense.
You feel that way too, huh?
Why can't you?
The fact that he lines up. So when you line up a guy, he's what, 6 feet?
Hunter, yeah, probably 6'1".
6 feet, probably about
6'1", 6'1" if you're being kind, and $170 is probably being kind.
He's the same height as Dion. He's just slimmer. Him and Dion are the same height. So Dion was what, 6'1"?
Okay. Yeah.
Or 6.
The fact that I lined him up out there, who has a year of playing grown man football, and everybody thinks the McClain kid is automatically going to be the starter. I don't think that, because
Y'all don't think so? I don't know what other DB do they got out there though. Is a problem.
He brought in some grown men with some big time experience.
What, from JSU? Did he?
Not just JSU.
Ole Miss.
I'm not tracking everybody he brought in, so that's a fair point.
Yeah, he so it's like that. Oh shit, where's my
I'm not tracking everybody.
Hey, real quick, we needed this, bro, right? Because
hold on, I'm gonna get my charger. Hold on.
Yeah.
Just
to go back, Adrian, me and you, and I still believe this. I'm really interested to hear what Benny has to say, right? Because my belief is I think Jimmy Horn, when he brought up Jimmy Horn, I'm like, okay, Jimmy did his thing at I think it was at USF, right?
USF, yeah.
Undersized guy, but he's a playmaker, right? I still like Travis as a slot receiver. I've been saying that for forever. You know what I'm saying? But when he brought up that Carmani comment, that right there, you know what I'm saying? I thought he'd be a day one starter at Colorado because you get what I'm saying?
Well, me strictly looking at Colorado's roster, I was like, there's no way Carmani isn't a day one starter. But I didn't account for some of the transfer portal guys, which is a fair point.
He got a corner from Ole Miss.
I'm not tracking all of those guys, right? So yeah, that guy from Ole Miss, if anything, he's an SEC weight program. He's going to go to Colorado and start.
Yeah, he got a corner from Ole Miss. He brought another corner with him from Jackson, right? He's got the safety from Arkansas. I think I'll say this, Benny. I think Jimmy Horn is probably only rated the way he is because of his size, right? He's only 5'9", quote unquote, right? Which means he's probably 5'8", 155. You know what I'm saying? I'm really curious. So you think, Benny, that previous college experience is going to kind of push McClain?
See, I gotta go.
McClain won't play, but you know what I mean.
I gotta go to Vontae comment, but go ahead, answer that one.
When I was, when we were little, they used to say, as a child, you're not supposed to. It's dangerous to play games with adults. And as highly rated as McClain is,
no, he's small too.
I gotta put a grown man out in the Celebration Bowl. Travis Hunter had a hard time getting off of blocks, right?
Yes, he did. He's putting his dick in the dirt.
They're gonna pay him to cover. And the same thing with McClain, they're gonna pay him to cover.
Yeah.
And I could be very wrong about this, but I'm playing Power 5 football. I need a grown man out there first.
Yeah,
but see, Benny, to that point is why I think they need to go ahead and move Hunter to receiver and stop the whole DB thing. Because you just said it. He struggled in the Celebration Bowl with not only did he struggle getting off of blocks, he was getting his face planted in the dirt on many of those blocks. And we talking SWAC football. We talking SWAC football now.
Yeah, but I mean, he got a full off season. He's now. He's not nursing the ankle problem.
Man, put that man at receiver and stop playing.
He needs to play receiver some, because I do think that he actually is a better receiver, but I can find receivers.
That's true.
And just because you're the best at one position, but the team in your career needs you at the other position. So it's tough, but I just don't think McClain is just automatically the starter, because he's still a child. He was just with children literally like a month ago.
I don't disagree.
He doesn't, and I will say he doesn't have kind of the quote unquote the NFL body yet either, right? Like Jaheim Singletary, when he came out last year, I think he was 205 or something like that. Alo, I could be wrong. With Jaheim, he had an NFL body.
I remember how big Tyson Campbell was when he came out.
Tyson Campbell was almost a 200-pounder, right?
McClain's what, 155?
What? Yeah, 165. Yeah,
165. He's not going to be 5. He's not going to be 10.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I think he's and coming from I would have loved to have him at Miami. I mean, I like long corners. I think he's fluid. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you're right. There might be a little bit to be desired in the physical aspect of the game. Because what we were talking about, Benny, a couple of weeks ago is that, if I'm looking at all the hype that these kids are getting, Travis Hunter, Cormani McClain, they've already dubbed them as being the best, the best tandem of corners in the history of like that's not that they're saying that directly, but that's kind of what they're hinting at.
That's
You
what
see what I'm saying?
they're already talking about. This is the best duo in the country. Like,
Yeah, and it's like, man,
how?
if I'm Lincoln Riley right now reading that, and if
I
I'm
mean, I'm gonna eat
Caleb
that up.
Williams,
I'm eating
you
that
know what
up.
I'm saying? I'm Michael Penix at Washington looking at that. Listen, I'm gonna get 500 yards off of y'all. I'm gonna find it. You know what I'm saying? And to your point though, you probably want to have them dudes that have been out there in the fire. The Ole Miss cornerback probably got reps versus Alabama, right? Reps versus LSU, reps versus, A&M, whoever. You know what I'm saying? At least that guy's been out there in the fire enough to say, I'm going to go out here and hold my own a little bit. You know what I mean? So I think that's a fantastic point, man. I didn't honestly thought he'd be a shoe to be a starter, but that's a fantastic point. Fantastic point.
Now, what I will say to combat my own point, he could be, depending on how well that front four or the front seven is, if you can get him out there and hide him.
Bell cover 3, right?
He's a day one starter. Like I just don't think he's a day one starter for them. And then I'm not even looking at who the corners are that came back from Colorado. He didn't get rid of everybody.
Right.
Like I don't know who the corners are at Colorado that played at Colorado this past year.
Benny, but you don't think he'd be a shoe in if I'm in a quarters, if I'm in a 3 shell, being a 6'2" kid that can move in quarters or 3 shell as a corner, right? Because in quarters you're really not going to have I'm not going to say you don't have a run responsibility, right? But it's not like I'm dependent on you to set the edge in quarters. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
You don't think he has immediate impact there? I mean, the kid's 6'2". He's 6'2" and he's fluid. You know what I mean? I mean, to get out there in quarters coverage and stuff.
Jared, the problem that's not even the main thing, but tackling some of these receivers if they catch the ball.
Fair
like
point.
That could be an issue. Even covering when you got a bigger guy who you're going up against a guy who's 225 and 6'2", 6'1", 225, and just the covering aspect that I'm just stronger and older than you can struggle on that. I mean, I think the kid will play, but to say he's a day one starter is almost kind of a little disrespectful to them grown men that's already out there.
That's fair.
Travis Hunter, even at Jackson, I mean, he ended up being the day one guy when they played FAM in the OBC, but would he have been the day one guy if he was playing Power 5 football?
No. Adrian, you had that talk about if Hunter went to FSU, right? Did you have that talk a while ago? If Hunter went to FSU, was he really a shoe in? Truly a shoe?
I said then I wasn't positive he would be day one starter. He was too little.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you have guys that have already, they've already been there and they were highly recruited as well.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just hard. Now, is he going to get reps? Like, you get a nickel.
Yeah, he's going to get on the field.
In fact, he might have played receiver even more had he played at FSU.
Probably.
Just so I can get him on the field in the return game. Just get the ball in his hand. He's so electric. But, I mean, you never know. You never know.
Benny, you don't see Justin Jefferson when you see Travis Hunter? That's who I see movement wise. I see that body type and that type of the way he had a route in the celebration. Wasn't it in the Celebration Bowl, Adrian? He had a double move in the Celebration Bowl where he dead legged the guy.
Yeah, he dead legged inside, went out. Yeah.
Yeah, he went outside, he broke outside, dead legged him when whatever he did, bro. But the defender was just, he cinder blocks on his feet. Like that's the type of body movement I see when I see Hunter Everson. I'm just curious as to what you see him as, or comp to him physically.
You got a point. You got a debate.
Because you're looking at the Justin Jefferson type body, because Justin Jefferson's not a big guy. He's a solid athlete. You know what I'm saying?
He's about 180.
They're probably listing him at 195, but call it what it is, right? Yeah. And I think he is so in control of himself when he gets on the football field, and I feel like that's the same thing about Hunter. But as we talked about Adrian, I think Hunter, his ability to high point the football, especially as a guy that's only 6'1", he looks like a 6'3" guy when he high points the football. You know what I'm saying? I think that's where he really makes his money at. That's just my view on him, though.
That's what I think. I think that's his best attribute.
I'll tell you what they could do. They play him some at receiver. If this Cormani kid comes around and outperforms expectation or meets expectations, and they struggle a little bit moving the ball on offense, they could move Hunter over there full time. I probably wouldn't, but they could. And Shador's leaving after this year. If they want to have this, yeah, he's 3 years. I'm playing football to get to the league. And once I'm ready for the league, I'm going to the league.
This is third year, right?
But Benny, you don't think Shador is in a different predicament because at the end of the day, my dad's Deion Sanders, right? I think didn't Shador have a deal with Under Armour? Am I tripping on that? Didn't Shador have a deal with Under Armour?
Brady?
He has a deal with Brady, right? So I'm just saying, I think Shador, if I'm not a first round guy, we had this talk about Jared Verse with Adrian. I think if I'm any kind of position, if I'm not labeled a first or second round guy, and I have NIL on the table, I'll probably take the NIL, right? Especially when the NIL is attached with the Sanders last name and the Sanders brand. You see what I'm saying? That's the only reason. That's the only thing I think about Shador is like, if I'm not getting a first round grade and I'm not getting first round money, I could probably make that money while I'm in Colorado.
He doesn't need the money.
That's true too. That's true too.
He doesn't need the money, but my thing is he's making that jump up. I don't know. You think he's gonna do enough in the Pac-12 in his first year to get to the league?
So when Aaron Rodgers came in to Cal, he came in from Butte Junior College, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he came in and did his thing at Cal. Now I want you to take the FCS is way better competition than JUCO.
Yeah, absolutely.
He killed FCS. Was he not the Walter Payton Award winner this year?
I think he was, yeah.
He killed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see a reason why he would go to Colorado and not kill it there.
Mm-hmm.
Because he played at a level. He's like a super JUCO guy.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so a lot of people don't even realize this is actually his third spring because he graduated early. He just didn't play in that spring season with Jackson, but he was there.
Right.
And so I don't see a reason why he doesn't throw for 3,300 yards, maybe even more. Because actually, it'd probably be more because there's another game. He's got another regular season game.
I'm about to say 3,200 yards would be a little bit of a disappointment, don't you?
Yeah, because he went for what, 37?
I didn't realize he went for 40 last year. For some reason, I thought it was left. He did 3,700, 40 touchdowns, 70% completion, right? Yeah. So even if you lowball him, let's lowball him for a second. I gotta think that he's gonna give me, I don't know.
Lowball would be the 37.
I'm saying 37 and 30 touchdowns. I think that'd be the lowball.
That's lowballing.
You know what I'm saying?
In the pack, he should be a 4,000 guy. Probably a 4,000 and
should be
high 30.
I'm gonna pull up. Washington State took a quarterback last year out of University of Incarnate Word. Benny, you're probably familiar with UIW.
I coached against Cam Ward.
You did?
At West Columbia.
Wow. Okay.
They ran the wing tee, and that was the only reason everybody wasn't on him. I think remember Marquell Blackwell that played quarterback at South Florida. He was the quarterback's coach at Houston. He really liked him, but I don't think they were gonna let him play. So the kid was a really good basketball player, and he was playing 4A football. And you know how in Florida the 2A, 4A, 3A, It doesn't matter as much. You still got the same athletes, but down here it's a little different.
Right.
He was throwing the ball maybe 8 times a game, so he really didn't get a chance to showcase. He was up on the center. We actually had more interceptions on him than he had completions that game. But you could still tell, like you could tell he was going to be a big time player.
Right.
And so when they took Cam at Incarnate Word, it wasn't a surprise that I think he threw for like 50 touchdowns.
So, and that's what I was going to bring up is just for a sake of comparison, because Incarnate Word is Incarnate Word FCS or is it D2?
FCS.
FCS. So the FCS. So he did 47 and 10. He did 4,600 yards, 47 and 10. Completed 65% of his passes. He goes to Washington State, and I will say this: I think Washington State is probably more talent deficient than what they're walking into at Colorado right now, given all the transfers and stuff, right? But he did 23 touchdowns and 9 interceptions at Colorado on 3,200 yards. So, I mean, I think it's fair to say we should expect, right? Like if Shador is what we think he is, what'd you say, Adrian? 3,700 yards again, right? And 30 touchdowns? Like, that's a fair.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Man, that's the floor.
Yeah, that's the floor. No, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I just don't see a reason to come back. If I wanted to be a pro all my life and I have the opportunity to be a pro, he'll be a top 50 pick. I'm not saying he's going to be a top 10 pick.
Right.
A top 50 pick. If you're a top 50 pick at any time, you should go.
Right.
You never know what's going to happen if you come back. Like you gotta strike while you're hot. And by him being a top 50 pick, he might go to a situation that's really, really good where, he doesn't have to be a savior. He can be, he can be a pretty good, a pretty good pro somewhere. Get in the system, take his time. But anytime, and I might be the wrong person giving advice, but anytime you got a chance to go play professional sports, and especially if you're going to be a top 50 pick, you should go. Now, if they give them a 3rd or 4th round grade, okay, you might want to reconsider. Let me come back and show I can really spin it again, But if you're a top 50 pick, I don't think you should ever come back.
Hey, Adrian, man, I'm curious, at least for you, right? So you have, because y'all went through this year with Verse, right? And I think if Verse coming back to me, and this isn't a disrespect to Verse, right? But it's because he didn't get that kind of grade, right? I think next year, Verse and Johnny Wilson have to be 2 guys that you look at. If they hit that trajectory, right? They should be top 50 guys. Are we on the same page with that? If those guys,
I think Verse. I'm pretty sure Verse will be. I think Verse is probably fringe this year,
because you look at, and I'm not sure how close you followed FSU, Benny, right? But you look at John. I think Johnny Wilson was labeled as by PFF the number 8 returning receiver or something like that. But we also have to take that, from a pro prospect, like grain of salt. Receivers are a dime a dozen. What does that really mean? You know what I'm saying? Whereas I think Verse, you have to look at Verse and say, okay, he's going to be a top 5 edge rusher in the country next year. Like, that should be his expectation. I'm just curious. I think those are the 2 guys for you next year, if their trajectory hits, right? That would be in that.
When it comes to Johnny, he's going to have to just show more consistency. I mean, the guy's 6'7", 230. So the NFL teams are going to be looking at him as like, okay, like, yeah, 6'7", 230. I'll do something with that. I don't know where
in the dirt at all.
Say it again.
No,
he's a receiver.
Just a straight receiver.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think Benny. I think you need to watch him, because I think he's an interesting prospect.
He's very reminiscent of Kelvin Benjamin, and it's not just the size; it's the inconsistency with the hands,
the concentration drops.
Yeah, those type. He makes easy catches look hard, and hard catches look easy. So he's one of those.
He went off in the bowl game, right?
Yeah, he had 200 yards in the bowl game against Oklahoma.
Yeah, I saw them seats you had, man.
You saw me? I had some good seats up there.
Yeah, I said we can't have money. But
I don't know, man. I think Wilson. I don't know. I look at because I saw that PFF thing and just it rang my mind with the top 50 joint. I'm like, if Wilson could get rid of the concentration drops, right? Because to your point, that was Kelvin Benjamin's problem. But Kelvin Benjamin got drafted because he was 6'4", 230. Call it what it
Yeah.
is, right? He was 6'4", 230, and if that
And ran
ball
a
was
4.5.
right, and if that ball goes up in the air, Kelvin was likely going to get it. I think you're going to have that conversation about Johnny next year. I think Verse. I don't know what's missing with Verse, to be honest. I mean, I guess it's the consistency, maybe hand placement, things like that.
I just think he came. I think me watching Verse all year, for me, I just think it's he doesn't play the run very well.
Uh,
He's very one track minded, just pass rush. So he overplays run consistently. I think NFL teams are gonna want him to clean that up, set
yeah,
the edge better. Versus like 6'4", 250.
yeah. He's close to a prototype. Alo,
Yeah, yeah.
very close. I mean, Benny. I think he's actually. This is just my opinion. I think he ends up being a 34 guy. That's just me. I think he's an outside linebacker in the 34.
I think Verse could stand up, and I don't usually say that,
Yeah.
but I think Verse could stand up if you needed him to.
is he a supreme athlete?
Yeah,
He's twitchy, yeah.
he's twitchy. He's got the bend. I just don't think his
He's coming from Albany, so this was his first year in Power 5 ball. I
Right.
just think he needs another year. That's all.
he can't just bully everybody anymore. You
And
get
that-
what I'm saying?
And his bull rush is all he really. He's just got to get more tools in the tool bag. His
Yeah.
bull rush is like elite, but when he gets against that
Odell?
tackle, then he
Odell
can't.
substitute coach.
He's the interior D line coach, but we got a coach, Papuchis coaching the ends.
Mhm.
Oh, man.
Benny, who you got right? Because you brought up Coach, bro. I know you're a Matt Campbell fan, and
Yeah.
I'm surprised
not
he's still
gonna-
at Iowa.
I thought he would have went on to get paid, but I think
There's no
he
pressure.
might
there.
be. Benny, bro. We had this talk. We had this talk about Dion getting a job, right, Alo? And Dion getting this Power 5 job, and people are like, "Oh no, Dion got to go to Auburn, or Dion, man, he got to wait for Florida State." And I said, Dion needs a soft landing spot with zero expectation because he is going to blow whatever expectation they have off the water on signing day.
And Bro chose a 1-11 team, so Dion good. He can win four. He can win 4 games next year, and he good.
Bro, people don't understand. Even like you, Benny, like if you get a chance at I live within the district of Geyer High School here in Denton, right? We just sent Jackson Arnold and 2 5-stars to Oklahoma, right? Benny, do you want Denton Geyer to be your first head coaching job? Just be real.
Probably not, because
Because the expectations, man.
It's through the roof.
The thing is, you have everything there to succeed. So it's like if you don't succeed,
if you don't go to state year 1, it's a wrap.
Yeah, you're the guy. Well, I'm not playing in the state semifinal. You're the guy. And then at my age, I'm still young for a coach.
Right.
So I feel like I haven't messed up enough yet. I still got a lot of messing up to do.
Like, go, bro.
Really good coaches. Sometimes they're not great coaches because they just do anything different. They've had time to mess up.
Ed Orgeron.
Yeah.
By the time he got to LSU, he done
messed up everywhere.
Yeah,
right. So the guy job probably wouldn't be a good job for me. Like right now. Now when I'm 50, yeah. But at 35 years old, I probably don't need that. I probably don't need that in my life right now.
See, Benny, bro, this is what I was trying to tell people about Dion, bro. Is if he goes, because the talk was USF and Colorado, and I said if he goes to USF, no expectation, he's not going to sell out the stadium.
USF would have been fun.
It would have been very fun.
The problem is that Big 3 is still in the state of Florida.
But I'll say this though, I think Dion would have been a disruptor on the trip.
Like I said, it would have been fun to watch. USF would have been fun.
USF would be,
But the big three is still the big three.
but you go
Well,
to
it's the Big
Colorado.
Four now because UCF is in the Big 12.
Here we go.
Next year they will be.
Yeah.
So
It's a big three, like I said, though. Anyway,
I was having a conversation about UCF with Yada, right? I think you don't know Yada, Benny, but I think UCF is in this position where, because Texas is going to take 2 years to get out. Apparently, they're not going to leave until 2025. Last I checked, right?
Okay.
So
and Oklahoma, right?
in Oklahoma, UCF, if you anything you do, just mess around and get a win against one of them two schools, right? That's the only way to get that program's trajectory to what they think they are. You get what I'm saying? Because if you look at their first four, their first 7 games, I don't see how they make it out over 500 over their first 7. That's brutal. Like they got to go to Baylor. I think they got to go to TC. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so y'all better get one of these sneak wins against Texas and Oklahoma while you can, because you might end up an afterthought real quick. Like, be careful what you wish for, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? That Big 12 water ain't nothing to play with, bro.
Well,
But
go ahead, Benny. Go ahead.
they will also be getting more resources.
Sure.
They'll also be getting bigger NIL deals. They'll also be getting, more support staff and things like that. The facilities are gonna they have really great facilities right now. They're gonna
They
get
do.
even better with the bigger checks.
Right.
So you got to grade them on a sliding scale. And to go back on the Dion thing, it made sense why you don't want to go to the SEC. Like, why would I go somewhere where I have a dog fight every week? I'm gonna have a fight on my hands.
If you're at Auburn, bro, you're basically held to Alabama standard without being Alabama.
Right.
Like that's crazy. They took out Malzahn because he wasn't Saban. That's crazy to me.
I don't think the Dion or what word am I looking for? Just the Dion, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if that works.
Brand.
That don't work at Auburn, in my opinion, because they don't care. Like that, Auburn's different. That state of Alabama is different. They don't care about.
Right. Can I let me just throw this out real quick with UCF, right? They start with Kent State, then they have to go to
Are they in the Big
Boise
12? They're in the Big 12 this year, or is
next year. Next
In
year,
the
right?
fall.
so the next this upcoming season they start?
Yeah.
See, the thing about it is they got Cincinnati coming with them. That's also going to be a team that gets a good
In Houston.
Houston.
Don't they got Houston coming with them too?
Is Houston joining too? I feel like Houston probably should have always been probably in the Big 12.
Well, they never
They-
wanted Houston because the same reason they didn't want TCU. They're in the Metroplex. They're in the Metroplex. I don't want to give them the same opportunity that I have. Like, nah. Now, give it like 4 or 5 years.
University of Texas in Austin, like
Yeah, but they're not drawn. So if I'm Houston, if I really, really wanted to, and I said I don't want to get a player outside of the Houston Metroplex, they could technically do that.
yeah.
If they were in the Big 12, and that's something. If I'm Texas, I don't want to happen because I need to come get players from here,
From out of Houston, absolutely.
Yeah, I need to get players out of Dallas. So,
Well, hold up, Betty. I got a question now. Hold up, because you brought up Texas. You don't think Texas is scared a little bit right now? You don't
Of
think
what?
they're scared at all?
Of
Well,
what?
here's the reality, right?
I mean,
Is I'm Texas. I have 2 years before I go into SEC, right? 2 years. I'll be in the SEC 25, right? I have 2 years before I go into SEC. Last year, I let TCU get to the playoff before I got there, right? The year before, I let Baylor show out, right?
and you lost to Kansas.
I lost to Kansas 2 years ago at home. At home, right? Kansas State doesn't look like a slouch program. They don't, right? Oklahoma State isn't exactly slouch either. Kansas looks like they might be on the come up, right? If I'm Texas right now, I don't know. I feel like I have a 2-year window, right? I think the A&M window is gone, by the way, Benny. I think A&M had this little honeymoon phase. They got this number 1 recruiting class, and it's like, all right,
y'all know how I feel about Jimbo.
here you go.
Did we talk for like an hour about Jimbo?
You
last
did.
time?
you know how I feel about Jimbo.
We
Like,
talked like an hour about Jimbo.
they shouldn't have
last time.
fired Sumlin. Sumlin has the same record that Jimbo has for way less money, and they're still paying Sumlin. I never thought, I was like, they were mad at Sumlin because he lost Kyle Allen and he lost Kyler Murray within like 6 months of each other.
Yeah.
They were upset about that. But I was, and and some other issues that I mean, this is, the internet's gonna have this, so I'm not gonna bring that up. But like, they went and spent 2.5 times for Jimbo.
They went and completely
ruined their future.
No, they went and completely changed the entire coaching market with the Jimbo Fisher hire. You can't get a coach. You can't get a coach now for less than $8 million. If you want to get a coach, you got to go 8. They completely changed the market with the Jimbo Fisher hire.
Like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I never thought Jimbo had really, really great players when he won the national championship. Jameis Winston was bailing him out.
Yep.
Green. What's the Green? The receiver.
Rashad Green.
Rashad Green is an all-time college football player in my eyes. I thought he was that good. He bailed him out. Then they went and took him to A&M, and it's like, what did you think was going to happen?
Hey,
well, Benny,
you're preaching to the choir.
So I'm saying right now though, if I'm Texas, I have to be on the edge of my seat because I feel like you literally have 2 years.
I want to get on this Texas thing.
You got 2 years, bro.
Because I think this year is make a break for Sark. He's recruiting too well for you to continue to.
Let me tell you what I think.
He's bringing back
firing coaches, and even they know it.
But those programs, they don't care. They keep firing coaches.
But you don't.
I agree with you.
You don't want to have a transition year going into the SEC. You need some sense of continuity, and
yeah, you do.
At some point, you're gonna have to swallow the bullet. No matter how much money you make as a department, you can't keep firing coaches and paying coaches. They're still paying. I think they're still paying Charlie Strong.
Yeah,
are they? Wow.
Like, yeah, I can't. I mean,
they still paying Todd Herman. That means they still paying Todd Herman too, right?
Yeah. And now that went down a little bit since he took the FAU job. But like, if I'm the AD, I got to be careful about wanting to fire him, because then if I'm the president, I'm looking at the AD like, you don't know who to hire. I'm gonna fire you because you messing up.
But can I say this though, Benny? I think the recruitment of Arch Manning by Sarkisian 4 years. That's what I think it does.
Well, I mean, he's not gonna beat out
Quentin Edwards. Hell no.
He's not.
If Arch can beat out Edwards, then
if his last name wasn't Manning, he'd be a low 4-star guy.
Ooh,
I agree. I agree totally.
Eddie,
I agree totally. I think the best quarterback in the country is Jackson Arnold out of Geyer. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, he can play.
He's a dog.
That boy,
right?
Tennessee got is
the only reason I haven't watched enough of Iyama Leava, but he's a fantastic athlete.
Say his name again. I never knew how to say his name.
I mean, neither. I'm glad you knew how to say it.
I'm pretty sure it's Iyama Leava, right? But Jackson Arnold, bro.
Jackson Arnold's a beast.
I see Jackson Arnold go up in every playoff game except to the loss in DeSoto. You know, DeSoto won state 6A, right? I saw him play every playoff game up to that. Benny, this kid could run the RPO game. He could take it, right? So he'll run an RPO. They run a really interesting RPO. They got it from the Browse system, like kind of like some RG3 stuff. They'll do the read option. He'll attack the line of scrimmage. If somebody closes on him, the DN, the safety, whoever's covering the slot defender, the instruction is to pitch it out to the slot man, right? He takes that thing off platform and can throw that ball 30 yards on the rope. You know what I'm saying? Leading the kid up the field. I mean, I've never seen anybody function like that as a quarterback. If I could get the tape, I saw him versus the last one I remember is versus Highland Park here. They scored on every drive of the game. He's a dog, right? But the reason I bring up the Arch Manning situation is I feel like that name, right, is strong enough to keep even a coach around. You get what I'm saying? I feel like if I say to somebody, listen, we had a bad year this year, but I got a little Archie waiting in the background for me. You see what I'm saying? I feel like that gives somebody some time to figure some shit out. You know what I mean? And not just Archie. They brought in Cedric Baxter. They brought in all these offensive linemen. Like I feel like Sark has bought himself some time with that recruitment. Like this class alone gives him another 2. I'm going to say 4 years, but in reality, it's probably 3.
The line's going to be better because he got
everybody.
right over here from district. What was that, 21-6A? He got the Banks kid last year, Kelvin Banks, and he got the guard from Atascocita.
He's recruiting his ass off. That's my point.
Yeah.
He's recruiting.
Yeah, so they were kids.
You got to start winning
on the line this past year. Another year, naturally getting older. Another year, a full off season with the strength program. I think the line is the reason he'll keep his job because they're going to be a little older.
You like Quinn Ewers?
I like Ewers, and the worst thing, one of the worst things he could have done was leave high school early. Because if correct me if I'm wrong,
he reclassified.
He was hurt though.
Yep.
He didn't play a whole lot in high school.
And then he reclassified to a year early, went to Ohio State, and then transferred to Texas.
So really, he's only like 19 years old.
Something like that. And then went out to Bama and just dotted him up. I still can't get over that game, bro.
He's talented. But
he's talented, bro.
Like, bro. He could very well be the first quarterback off the board.
No, absolutely. I've been telling people ever since I saw Ewers. I'm telling you.
But I like him. I like him way a lot more over Manning. I mean,
bro, Benny, we was in Austin watching this Texas game, and we wasn't even drunk yet. We weren't even close to drunk yet.
Well,
because we wasn't even a drink in, and Ewers is maybe on throw number 5. And I turn to look at Adrian. I say, "Hey, that's Jesus right there."
He just looked different.
he hit. I forget who the receiver is at Texas. They got a pretty good slot receiver, and he hit a throw over the shoulder, out of the slot. It was a slot fade, but maybe 40, 50 yards downfield. That was just like, good God, boy, where did you find that at? You know what I'm saying? Like that's something I expect Peyton Manning to do on Sundays. You know what I'm saying? Like I think Ewers can be that good. I don't understand why I don't understand how he doesn't win a Heisman playing at Texas. I mean, he's a hell of a talent. Hell of a talent.
He got to stay healthy though.
Yeah, that's healthy.
I think that also goes back to being young. Like I'm 18 years old taking a snap.
Yeah.
You know, against 22, 23. I was 23 my last college year. So and I'm not that big. Imagine a guy that's a DN that's 23 years old playing against an 18-year-old boy.
Absolutely.
There's a difference there.
Absolutely.
You know, so this year he could put it all together. I mean, it hurts that he lost Robinson, but the Baxter kid will help.
Yeah.
He'll help some same kid because he's, you know, again, I don't believe in playing with children. So he can help him, but yeah, he's a heavyweight. He's a big time guy. He can make all the throws. Arch Manning, they gonna put him in just because he's Arch, just because his last name. He gonna get a little time, you know. But I think it could be to the detriment, you know, of Ewers into the program if you play him.
But they can't do that.
Not ready right now.
I think you have to. I think you obviously have to ride it out with Ewers, man. I think Sark has positioned himself well. I think this year Sark needs to get himself 9 wins, right? I think he has to. Like if Sark doesn't get 9 wins this year,
I think he need to get more than 9.
I think the reason I say 9, bro. I mean, this sounds weird that I'm going to say this, right? You can argue that right now, returning to the Big 12, that Kansas has the best quarterback. You could legitimately argue that with that kid that's over there right now.
Is it
whatever
Daniels,
his name
right?
is,
Jalen Daniels, something like that.
I don't need to know what his name is, right? All I know is that when that kid played, Kansas is a damn good football team, and I know Ewers. I think Ewers is the most talented kid. What has Ewers done for me? Big picture, right?
Nothing yet. He nothing. He just you see the talent, but he's done nothing.
But that's what I'm saying is that you have to look at walking into the season. The Big 12 is wide open. I need at least 9 to really believe in this Sarkisian
But
thing.
Texas is fielding the most talented team in that conference by far.
He got 6 wins last year, right? This past year.
I think so.
They went to a bowl game.
They got 8. I think they got 8.
Did they get 8?
I think they won 8.
I thought they had 6. So that would throw me off. I swore they had 6.
No, I think
they got 8 last year.
I think they went 8-4. I think they went 8-4 in the regular season.
So no, scratch that then. So yeah, so
they gonna win the conference. I didn't know they won that many games.
Texas should be trying to sneak into the playoff. In my opinion.
But ain't that part of the problem though? That you didn't know they were an 8-win team last year. I just thought there was nobody. I seriously thought they were about 6-7 wins last year. You know what I'm saying?
It felt like it.
It felt like a big. I thought when we watched that Alabama game, I thought that Texas was going to win that league outright. I was like, "There's no way that this isn't the best team in the Big 12, right?"
And then they blitzed Oklahoma.
They 49 zip.
Yeah,
right?
they blitzed.
They lost to Texas Tech. I mean, but that's without Ewers. But
that was in the shootout.
You know, but I say this in games where Ewers was the leading passer, they only lost 3 games, right? And they were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're 6-3 when Ewers is the leading passer on the team last year, right? With a loss to TCU, he only threw for 171 against TCU. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. I'm going to change my thing. Maybe they need to win at least the Big 12, or they need to be in the Big 12 conference game to really have that confidence in Sark. But I think they're on a 2-year moment, a 2-year plan right now. You know what I'm saying? Because if in 2 years you're not that deal coming out, I mean, you're ahead of Oklahoma. I think we all agree on that, right? Yeah. So it's like if in 2 years you're not that deal coming out of Big 12, we got to start flashing some sirens. You know what I mean? That's going to be.
Get rid of him?
Okay. He hasn't signed an extension recently.
I'm gonna give you the Tony Romo question. When Romo played, all the Cowboys fans said we need to get rid of him. I say, cool, get rid of him. Who you getting to replace him? Matt Campbell ain't coming. Because if I get Matt Campbell, I fire Sark today. But he ain't coming. Who else you gonna get? If you fire him in 2 years, now knowing the next coach knows you fire guys with winning records. Your last 4 coaches have had winning records. They know that. That makes negotiations even harder. Now I need more money.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, Texas got money, but it's only so much. It's free. You know,
they're gonna hire Lane.
You think they're gonna hire Lane?
I think Lane looking to get out of Ole Miss soon anyway.
But he'd be jumping right back into the SEC West.
Right. Yeah. But he would also be jumping in
to Texas
with a bank account.
To Texas.
You know. I
Mississippi, Texas. I don't know.
I would rather a little further in Mississippi.
Yeah. Well, here's so you bring up Lane Kiffin. That's a good conversation.
That was just a guy.
Where do you rank Lane, Benny?
Lane,
because I know you're high on Matt Campbell. I'm very high on Lane Kiffin. I don't think Adrian is as high on Lane Kiffin.
I like Lane.
Like top 10, he's top 10.
That's fair.
I like Kiffin.
But I mean, if you win, what do you win? 10 games at Ole Miss?
I
know he was 8-0 at one point. So like, if you're doing that at Ole Miss,
I was surprised he didn't take the Auburn job.
That was the big rumor.
Do you like Freeze at Auburn? You like him going to Auburn?
Yeah, because he know how to. I mean, now everything he was doing when he got Treadwell and Kimbisi and all of them, it's legal.
Yeah, he can do it. Yeah.
It's legal. He can do it. Treadwell and Laramie Tunsil, everything he did, he can do it legally now, and he can really coach. But you know why I think he can really where he can really coach? When he started off in high school, you really don't get to pick your players, so it makes you become a better coach. Like you have to coach what you have, and so I think he sees the game a little differently than some of these coaches who were kind of handed the, all the talent. Well, he's used to taking the cat playing quarterback that's 5'7", 145 pounds, and possibly going 3-4 rounds in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now he's got world-class athletes.
Yeah.
I think he'll be really, really good. He'll, he won't beat Saban every year, but I mean, I think he fits in. He knows the lay of the land.
I think he was the most underrated hire by far of the whole process. And I know year 2 or year 3 at Auburn for him, he's going to shake some shit up. That's my opinion. I think he's going to have a lot of people on edge. If he gets him the quarterback he wants and a couple of targets, I mean, he was giving Alabama hell with I forget the quarter, not Chad Kelly, the dude that came after him. He was a sidearm slinger. I forget his name, bro. But he wasn't that good. But he was giving him hell with that dude, Bo Wallace. Wasn't it Bo Wallace? You know what I'm saying? He was giving him hell with Bo Wallace at freaking Ole Miss. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure he's gonna do his thing, man. But the SEC West is so stacked that it's like,
so
he missed out on his quarterback though.
You think so?
He missed out. He had the boy from Central, Lights Out, the quarterback from Miami Central. He was committed to Auburn, but he ended up signing with FIU. He would have won with Lights.
You don't think he wanted? Do you think he didn't want him? Keon Jenkins or Keontae Jenkins?
I don't know why he didn't want him. They call him Lights Out for a reason. Watch him play.
Yeah, like
he's a quarterback. Like, I mean, he's 6 feet, 6'1", lefty, but like when you want a quarterback, he was a quarterback. Like he wasn't an athlete. I mean, he's an athlete, but he's not labeled an athlete. He's a quarterback. Mm-hmm. I thought he missed out by not signing him, by not getting him.
You think he's Teddy Bridgewater? You think that he's that type of guy?
He's a little more athletic than Teddy.
Oh, that's fair.
Teddy was a little taller.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I thought he missed out on Lights.
Man, Betty, I like you, man, because nobody would have brought that up. Keon Jenkins. Nobody would have brought that up.
Yeah. I've been a fan now for like 3 years.
Wow. Nobody would have brought that up. I like that.
Yeah. But
I like that.
I mean, so Lane in my top 10. Y'all know I got Campbell in my top 2, and he not 2.
I mean, look at Brock Purdy, man.
Hey, he not gonna leave. I learned this from the coach I'm coaching under right now. He was saying, some jobs look good on paper, but the peace of mind that you have when you're at a certain place, sometimes the money, they can't pay you enough to leave that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was right, because I'm like, Matt Campbell, they'll never fire him at Iowa State.
Right.
If he goes to the NFL, it's so cutthroat. I don't think he's an NFL guy. But say he takes over at Texas for Sark. Y'all say y'all don't like Sark. You want to get rid of Sark. And he goes into the SEC. And 3 years, he don't make a bowl game. Right. Why do I want to do that to my family? Why do I want to do that to myself?
Right.
Like, I mean, Iowa State's going to keep giving him a little bit more money, but, he don't have the boosters breathing down his throat, down his neck. Right. So I got Campbell. You got to put Kirby in there. Kirby's probably 2. I got Prime 3. I know he ain't as proven as the other guy.
Whoa. Okay.
I know it up there.
Yeah, I mean, you know me, I'm from Florida. It ain't even funny.
It came out of nowhere.
Because I like what he's doing. And I watch that Well Off Media. I really like what they're doing with that they post it every day. I love it. I feel like I'm there. I feel like I know the program.
Yeah.
4.
Hold on. Are we leaving Saban? Because
you ain't even mentioned Nick.
We don't. Let me tell you why Saban's dropping.
Here we go.
The age, and He's going to be good because he's going to have better players than 99% of the teams out there, other than Georgia.
So you don't think Saban's coaching no more? You think it's
No, he's still coaching. He's still
okay?
coaching. He's still coaching. But the fact that he can't keep any coaches kind of bothers me a little bit. So we'll go Saban 4 just on some legacy stuff. He on the Bobby Bowden plan now. So,
that's fair. That's fair.
Well, I'm at 5. Who am I going with 5? Shit, I'm gonna go Hugh Freeze
over Harbaugh.
You're right.
Hold on, but we gotta give Hugh credit for what he did at Liberty, bro.
We gotta give Harbaugh some credit. I know he done lost in the playoffs the last 2 years, but damn.
No, Harbaugh, you're right. I'm being disrespectful. I was being disrespectful. Harbaugh, he's up there. Did I say Lane already?
Yeah.
Yeah. You said Lane was in your top 10. You didn't have him in the top 5. Okay.
Lane 6. Kyle Whittingham.
I would agree with 7.
Okay.
I think he's that good of a coach. So he's 7. 8 would be he just left though, but it'd be your boy at Cincinnati.
Okay, Fickle. Okay.
Fickle.
Where'd he go? Oh, he went to Wisconsin, right?
He's at Wisconsin now. They're gonna win.
Yeah, I like
then Freeze. Then I'll put Freeze 9. Who am I going with 10?
So who rounds out your top 10?
You gotta throw Sonny Dykes in there.
There we go. Listen, you know what Benny just did? Benny threw out the public resume, right? You can correct me if I'm wrong about Benny, but the public resume comes with the narrative surrounding said resume, right? And you looked at least to me, the quality of the coaching that person's actually doing, right?
Yeah.
Because if we were to talk about Sonny Dykes, in reality, TCU should have been a 7-win team.
I'm about to say you got to give Sonny Dykes
at best
credit.
Yeah, I mean Matt Campbell at Iowa State should never be competitive. Yeah. If we're talking about resources, recruiting location, all of that stuff, I respect that list. I thought Harbaugh. The only reason I'm a little iffy on Harbaugh, Benny, is because I feel like Harbaugh, and this is part of the narrative thing. Harbaugh did so good at Stanford that I thought Michigan was going to be a home run for him, and I underestimated the Ohio State's.
I mean, but damn, he's in the playoffs. Like,
yeah,
it's hard to win that natty, man. It's hard to win that. You know what I'm saying?
And that's, I guess that's what I'm saying is
he's doing everything but winning the natty. I think so.
He finally got through the Ohio State, force field that's been around the Big Ten for a while now. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know what your take on it is, Benny. I don't know if it's coaching the problem. I think he's a caliber below, maybe a tier below where he needs to be athletically across the entire roster. You know what I'm saying? I think that might be the thing that's holding him back. But
I think he should leave because eventually he's going to get to the point where they're going to get tired of you just making the playoffs.
No, yeah.
And in coaching, I learned this from June Jones. You probably shouldn't be anywhere more than 5 years. Most coaches. Because you're going to have a bad year eventually, and they're going to forget what where they came from before you got there. Harbaugh has tapped out. I don't think he's going to get any better.
Probably not.
So I think the athlete's not there. I don't think he's going to ever get the recruit that he need. The Adrian Peterson type running back, the Calvin Johnson type receiver.
Well,
I don't think that guy's going to get there.
I think it's the quarterback that's his issue. If I'm a top quarterback,
even there, yeah,
he's not getting those guys because of the style, style of play that they have. Now, the style of play is actually conducive to winning, right? But it's not conducive technically in today's world of producing into the NFL. You know,
Right.
the style is good because everybody's not lining up with 2-3 tight ends. So now they're adjusting back from the spread stuff back to the I formation and the fullbacks, and you know he goes out there and 32 personnel all the time. Like that's a lot of beef out there, you know. But he's flirting with the NFL. Like you might as well just go, man. Like you know they're gonna get tired of you.
Yeah.
And you've been there. He's been there what 8 years now.
Yeah. You're surprised. So because I was surprised. I thought this cycle, I thought Indianapolis was going to give him whatever he wanted. I thought he was going to Indy. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was Indy. I thought it was Carolina. You know what I mean? I thought somebody was willing to give up because, with all due respect to Harbaugh, what he did in San Francisco was amazing. I feel like he set them up for where they are now. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
he did a
So
really
it's
good
like
job.
he did a really good job in San Fran. So I thought one of these organizations would be like, "Hey, bro, just take it, just take it." Even Jacksonville last year, like, why weren't you on the phone with Jim Harbaugh trying to get a? You see what I'm saying? But I don't know. I thought he would have been gone already. I'm surprised he's hung around this long.
Right.
Yeah.
So we talking all this coaching stuff. What is what's Miami gonna do on this offensive coordinator? What are you hearing?
Oh, so I just had my interview last week, and
You
then
said your interview?
yeah, and then they bring in. I got they just doing a side thing with Benny for the running backs coach position, and we're just gonna figure it out. You know what I'm saying? It's a fluid situation. You know what I'm saying? But
Man.
what I've learned, bro, is that
A
like
lot of
last year.
rumors in the last 24 hours. Scott
Listen,
Frost's
bro,
name has come up.
every name that came out last year didn't get the job, right? It's called like every name that came out last year that didn't get the job, and then February 6th they popped up. Hey, here's Josh Gaddis. You see what I'm saying? I feel like that same thing. I feel it's gonna be somebody that's like
Y'all not expecting.
just somebody obscure, bro. Because I told you last week with the recruiting stuff, like I don't think anybody at Miami talks, and that's rare to me. You know what I'm saying? Like there's always somebody at some program leaking out some kind of information. I don't think anybody that thinks they know anything knows anything anymore. And that's I just kind of don't pay attention to it unless I get an announcement. You know what I'm saying? But they said Tom Campbell. They said Scott Frost, which I wouldn't be mad at, right? Given
Mhm.
the premise of what Scott Frost does offensively, I wouldn't be mad at it, right? Where we didn't have tempo last year, we needed the tempo back. It makes Van Dyke
It
comfortable.
said Doug.
You really believe that?
Man, that's what they saying, man. That's what
You
they
really
saying.
believe that?
He said
You really
He said
believe?
Nussmeyer, man. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Hey, listen, man. I'm gonna go get Doug
What about
Nussmeier here.
Kingsbury? I've heard Kingsbury name floated.
I heard Cliff too. I heard Cliff's name. I tell you, y'all throwing a bunch of names have been thrown out
Listen,
there.
bro. If
Benny, do you think
anybody,
Gaddis should have been fired?
that's a good question.
Let me tell you why. My perspective is going to be different,
Uh huh.
and I think it's because I do coach high school. I don't think he should be fired because everything that happened, technically, I mean, I guess technically it is your fault if you're the coordinator if it doesn't work. But sometimes people need a chance to fully get involved. He wasn't on campus until middle of February last year. Like, if I'm in the spring, I get my stuff in, but I still got transfers and freshmen coming in the summer that I didn't get to go through an off season with my values, my routines. Some of the stuff isn't on me. It might be on the head coach. The way we practice may not be conducive to my offense going the way I want it to go. Maybe there was some other stuff going on, that we don't know. We're not in the building every day.
Yeah.
Because I've actually been around some wilder stuff like when I was in college. So I know some wild stuff does happen like in the building.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't have fired him. I mean, he was just the Broyles Award winner the year before when I hired him. Like he had to be good. He did that with Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Like he had to be decent. And then now I'm setting my kids back.
That's what.
Yes.
That's the big reason I said.
Yeah, my kids got to relearn it. They got to relearn a whole new system because I can't hire. I'm not going to bring the same system in because I could have just kept him. Now we owe him money too.
I know.
So
I know people think I'm trolling, because I'm a Florida State fan. But you do TVD no favors. What is, like I told Juerg, what is this? His third offense he has to learn in 3 years now?
yeah,
Like, that's ridiculous. I don't know what you really can expect next year. We'll see who you guys hire though.
See, it's twofold because I fully, and we talked about that a couple of weeks ago, is that you want consistency in everything that you do, right? Even if it's not the absolute best, consistency at my 80% is better than inconsistency and me getting my 50%, right? But if I'm looking at what happened at Miami last year, and this is kind of to your point, Benny, like it looked like some of these kids just forgot how to do basic football things. You get what I'm saying? And my question
Mhm.
is, and what we'll never know is, what type of person was Josh Gaddis now that he had no buffer to his offense, right? Because there's no doubt at Michigan that Jim Harbaugh was a bit of a buffer for him. It's not like Jim Harbaugh just walked away and said, "Hey, you do everything you want offensively." Jim Harbaugh was there. There's no way that he wasn't there. You see what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
guarantee you, at Miami, the situation is
It's your
Mario's like,
offense. It's your offense.
it's your offense. I'll be with the O line, but this is your offense. You got to make it. He had no buffer anymore, and I wonder if taking away that buffer led to him not being the type of person that you needed him to be to lead those kids. You get what I'm saying? Because there's a couple throws, bro, and these are just throws. But you would know as a coach, bro, like if you watch somebody mess up something that's very easy, you have to wonder what's going through that kid's head. You get what I'm saying? So if I have a quarterback throwing an arrow rat to the flats that he overthrows by 10 yards, I've seen you complete that pass 150 times. Why haven't you complete? You see what I'm saying, Betty? And I saw those kind of things under Gaddis that makes me wonder what was up with the psyche of the kids after their interaction with him. You get what I'm saying? That's the only thing I could think of as to what made the relationship sour. Because to your point, he'd really never had a chance to settle in. So did he just rub enough kids the wrong way that they're like, "Look, I don't want to do this." You see what I'm saying, bro? But we would never know because we're not there. You know.
Yeah. And it also depends on maybe he wasn't pulling great recruiting. I don't know who McLean's main recruiter was. I would envision as Van Dyke.
Wasn't that DVD?
Yeah.
It was Van Dyke.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know. It's a bunch of stuff that can happen.
Yeah, but stuff does happen on the recruiting.
Yeah, I probably would have gave him one on the outside looking in. I probably would have gave him one more year.
Well, and again, you're looking at just the performance side of things, right? Like making the offense click. It does take some time, right? Like June Jones didn't walk into SMU and, hey, tomorrow we're clicking on all cylinders. Like even he needed some time, and he's a genius. You know what I'm saying? Even Mike Leach at Ole Miss, rest in peace to Mike. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, rest in peace to Mike Leach.
Yeah.
He needed time to settle in, and he is truly an offensive genius. You know what I'm saying? So you taking out Gaddis to me means it was more than just about the X's and O's with this guy. There's something fundamentally wrong with the relationship, right? But we'll just never know. But long story short, Adrian, I don't know shit. You don't know shit. We don't know shit. You know what I'm saying? We're finna get a memo on Tuesday morning saying, "Hey, here's the guy." And it's probably if it's Nussmeier, I'll say this: if it's Nussmeier, I'm gonna hit the transfer portal. I hit the transfer.
You're not going nowhere.
Where's Nussmeier right now?
He was in Dallas.
He was the quarterback's coach, right?
Yeah, he was the quarterback coach in Dallas.
I think his last job. Wasn't his last college job Florida?
UF under McElwain.
Yeah,
UF under McElwain, bro.
Florida.
I'm a big believer in giving guys a shot.
Yeah.
Why? Like Kevin Steele's the D coordinator, right?
Yeah.
I'm a guy who. Why not take a chance on somebody that's up and coming? Somebody that has a little success.
Sometimes that works.
By joining this coaching carousel.
Yeah.
Like I'm not that guy.
Benny, I like what you're saying because I think that's one of the worst things that they do in the coaching circle is they just reuse the same names over and over.
Yep.
And you got And Florida State's guilty because you got a guy like Randy Shannon who's literally coached at every school in the state.
Yeah.
It's like we just
right. Oh, he's at Florida State right now.
yeah, co DC.
Linebackers.
Yeah, so they just rehash the same
But
coaches over and
they
over.
need Randy for the relationships, and
That's why he's there. Yes,
and he's a good coach. Randy's a good coach. He was just when he was at Miami, he got a raw deal because sometimes you think the train's going 30 miles per hour, but it's really going 70 or 80.
Yep.
And he was there doing the booster, the Neville Shapiro guy.
he was there during that. He was there with the killing of your boy
Pata.
which was
He was DC though.
No, I thought he was the head coach when that happened.
So that happened the same year. That happened the same year that they had the brawl with FIU because I was playing baseball at FIU that year.
Who was the head coach?
Coker.
Coker was still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's right. He's right.
They fired him after that because they went like 7-5. Yeah. And they got rid of him. They saw it was trending down. But
well, then he did take over the job after that.
Yeah,
There were still effects of that, obviously.
Yeah. And so
like you said, he got a raw deal there, man.
Yeah. So I mean, it is what it is, man. But
So Benny, and I've said something similar before, right? I know the name that popped up with Miami recently is Tom Candle. Candle's been at Toledo for like the last 10 years, right?
They're still going after him. He told them no a year ago.
He apparently, but again, my lesson is if you've heard the name, then he's off the list. You get what I'm saying? Like even with the AD search for Miami, like it was said that we were going after this guy from New Mexico State, and everybody was like, "Oh, that's the guy," and then out of nowhere, we pulled the guy from Clemson. You get what I'm saying? Like, I think the circle at Miami's finally tight enough to where you don't know anything, right? But to your point, if I'm looking at coordinators, right? If I'm looking at up and coming coordinators, am I good enough? And I think he's gone already, but whoever was the coordinator at Washington is the guy that you want to talk to, right? Whoever was the coordinator at a school that's doing crazy numbers in the FCS level, why aren't you talking to that guy? You know what I'm saying? Because really right now, what you need is a guy that can coach, a guy that can innovate, a guy that can get you ahead of the curve. I think that's what got Dabo Swinney ahead of the curve, is that he dipped into the Malzahn tree before anybody else did by getting Chad Morris.
Dabo was hiring guys that nobody had even heard of, straight out of high school.
Nobody heard of Chad Morris on a college coaching level, and Benny, you know this being Texas High School Coaches Association, right? Chad Morris was a dude. You know what I'm saying? He was a dude
in the
down
state.
in Austin.
Yeah.
He was a dude down in Austin, and your boy Swinney saw him
on Tulsa. He got him from Tulsa. He went to Tulsa for a year.
But he was originally at
he was at Lake Travis.
Travis, right? That's where he made his name.
Yeah, he got like Bay City. He got one with Bay City, Stephenville, Lake Travis. But yeah, so he was a guy that was kind of thinking outside of the box, and it paid off for him.
Right.
Because really, Dabo was an outside of the box hire. He'd never been a coordinator before.
Yeah, I think he was a wide receiver coach.
He was a wide receivers coach. Yeah. And so I'm with you on that. On the go hire somebody. The Washington guy just turned Saban down. So he's just going to Miami.
Right. Absolutely not. Right. Right. I'm just saying though, you got to get onto a guy that is doing something that's different, right? You could have not paid me enough money a year ago to be like, hey, Washington is going to lead college football in passing.
Right.
Yeah. They're even with Penix. I love Penix. There's no way you could have paid me enough money.
I think they should go get the guy from Western Kentucky, or UNLV got him. Brendan Marion, the wide receivers coach from Texas. He's at UNLV now. That was a guy that Miami probably should have gone after because he's coordinated offenses before.
Right.
And I actually played against Marion when he was at Tulsa. He was a dog. He has offense coordinator experience, and I thought they let him slip away, let him go to UNLV. But I thought that was a guy they should have possibly looked at too.
I think a problem, and I'll say this openly. Where Cristobal is, and it's not a problem. What he wants to do is give that side of the football to a guy and say, hey, treat this like its own program, right? Like this is yours. You get what I'm saying? Because there's no way you can tell me that Saban had to go into a meeting room with Bill O'Brien and say, hey, let me make sure everything's going well. You get what I'm saying? Like this is Bill O'Brien. He coached under Belichick. Like all this shit. Like there's no way that he was actually in there micromanaging or even managing that side of the ball aside from checks and balances. You get what I'm saying? And I think that's what Mario wants to do, but I don't think you're in a position to do that yet. You don't have that trust equity built in with staff across the country enough to
That
be able to say,
cachet,
Y- exactly right. But Bama itself is like a bounce back job for NFL coaches, which is crazy to say out loud. You know what I'm saying? Like
it
you
really
you
is.
you could revitalize your career and be in the NFL
Yeah.
and be the head coach at Texas in 5 years. Come mess with me at Bama. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I don't think Mario has that equity built into his position yet enough to say, "Hey, I'm going to take, beleaguered NFL coordinator Ken Dorsey. Ken, I promise you can revitalize your career here." He's not there yet. You know what I'm saying? So, I do think, Betty, it has to be what you said. Let me go get a guy from Sam Houston State. You know what I'm saying? And let that guy come run my system and get going.
I was surprised he left Oregon.
I I don't know, man. I with the
They
way
said his
they
mom was sick, and that played a part in it. But like, I was really surprised he left Oregon.
you want me to tell you when that story dropped, because I was talking to Alo when that story dropped, and they said there was a story out that Mario was in Miami to visit his sick mom. I was like, bro, ain't nobody coming to Miami for 12 hours to visit their sick mom, bro. Right? As soon as they popped that story.
His mom wasn't sick.
No, she was sick. But I don't make a 12-hour trip to see my sick mama. You get what I'm saying? If my mom was sick, I'm coming home. You feel me? He was in Miami at 6 o'clock one day and out at 6 o'clock the next day. Just like that. You see what I'm saying? At that point I knew it was done. That was foolery to me. But I think Miami, what they promised him financially was much greater than they would have promised anybody else. And we're not gonna get into the reasons, but we all know it has to do with, hey, Cuban guy, Miami, University of Miami.
Yeah.
We're gonna trust him.
He's legacy, legend down there. So.
He's a legacy. He
Yeah.
knows. He's like his brother, sister-in-law, or something with Ruiz and all this shit. Like, yeah, okay, Mario, we trust you. Take the money, go do what you want.
Well,
They
that's
wouldn't have done that for anybody
that's how
else.
your boy got the job.
Manny.
He is. His daddy used to be the mayor.
Yeah, Daddy was a mayor. Yeah, I know.
He got fired. He got fired in Provo, Utah.
And a lot of people said that's what actually kept Manny's job for so long, is because his daddy was the mayor.
Yeah, he used to be the mayor. It is what it is. It's all about who you know.
Yeah.
Really, in coaching, no matter what level you are, it's about who you know. If I'm in charge, I'm not going to hire somebody I don't know.
So that to who you know thing, that's my question about Mario is, does he have a tree? Like, who does he have some coaches that he's groomed? Who are those coaches that's under him or that have coached with him that he can call up and say, hey, come coach my offense?
I would think it'd be the offensive line coach. That's his right hand.
Mariball, ain't his name, Juerg? Mariball?
Yeah, but he had Arroyo, who was at UNLV as that.
Arroyo's another name that y'all keep bringing up.
He's the head coach now, right?
Yeah, he was. He just got fired from UNLV.
Wait, so who's the head coach?
I don't know.
Oh, Arroyo might be your guy.
And nobody's really talking about him as much as I thought they would be.
Well, a lot of Miami fans kind of, I don't know if they want him.
Here's the thing, bro. And again, another side of it is familiarity, right? Mario's going to walk in, if he brings this guy in February, he worked with him for 4 years or whatever it was at Oregon. He knows exactly how he prepares, right? He knows exactly how he recruits. He knows his value system. He knows all of that, right? Like, that's already in place. So it's really just a plug and play. You get what I'm saying? Not saying that's the right thing to do, but there's probably not a more comfortable hire out there for Mario other than Arroyo. You know what I'm saying? And nobody's hiring Willie Taggart to be an offensive.
Willie in Colorado, ain't he?
Yeah, he in Colorado as an analyst, I think.
Did he? I know that was a rumor, but I didn't see anything official on that.
Oh, it's not official?
I heard about it. I don't know if it was anything official.
Y'all get man, they don't did my y'all don't did my boy Willie wrong, man. He's still getting them Florida State checks, so you know.
He get they still paying him till 2024, I think.
The story I got about Willie out of FAU, and this is from FAU alum who are connected with boosters and stuff, guys that played there, stuff like that. Willie is one of the best fundraisers you can find, right? Willie basically has boosters like he walks into a room and hey, whatever I need, I can get it. I need a new this, I need a new this, I need $4 million for that, he can get it. But everybody at FAU hated Willie Taggart, the football coach. That's the feedback I got from him.
That's what happened at Florida State. He's a great guy. Like you said, could fundraise.
He can get you whatever you need financially.
When it came to on the field, it was like, what is this? What are you doing?
This
is ridiculous.
Willie, man. They were hating on my boy Willie.
You think that's what it is?
They were hating on Willie. Yeah. He shouldn't have left Oregon.
You were in a position with, I'll say this, Oregon would have continued to have the best classes in the country. I don't know how good they would have gotten though. But,
yeah, me either.
But also, I think Willie's, and it's not really a miss because he missed it because of Saban. I think if Willie got Tua Tagovailoa, I don't know if everybody remembers that recruitment, but it was down to Oregon and Alabama. If he got Tua to go to Oregon, I think he would have been cooking. I think it's part of the reason he left. If you got Tua to go to Oregon, you stick around Oregon. You got a Heisman kid at Oregon. You know what I'm saying? But you lose that kid to Bama, it's kind of hard to find another one of them. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he wanted to get back home. Florida State gave him even more money.
Yeah.
And then it is harder. He was still recruiting Florida kids.
Yeah.
It's harder to consistently get those kids to come out to Oregon. They're passing up so many schools to come to you. So it takes a lot more energy out of you. It's just at this point, you're hopping into you're hopping into the South. So I'm recruiting against the SEC. I'm recruiting against the rest of the ACC and some of the Group of 5 schools. For some kids. UCF. You're losing kids to UCF and South Florida, and on occasion FAU. So it's like it's just harder to recruit once you're here and this is your recruiting base. In Oregon, nobody knows I missed out on 50 kids because they're only talking about the 4 kids I got. They're like, man, he got to come across the country. Like that's So I mean,
yeah, you don't think speaking of that, and I guess that was the kind of going back to the prime conversation. I think we all worry about that, right, Adrian? Like, I mean, you don't prime was talking about Florida kids. It's like, Prime, you probably have your eye on the wrong prize right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you focusing on a kid that's coming out of Dade County when California is right there? You know what I'm saying? And Texas is a little bit closer than coming all the way down.
He getting them. He getting some kids from Cali, and he getting kids from Texas.
Yeah,
he got Omar Stoudemire's kid.
Did he really?
Prestonwood.
Did he really?
Yeah, he signed. He got the kid from DeSoto, the safety. He signed. His nephew played at Arlington Grace Prep. He getting kids. He getting kids from Texas. He signed a couple from California, but I mean something. And then it's about your relationships. I have more relationships in Florida, and I mean it's prime. Like their parents, some of these parents are like our age. We grew up watching Deion in his prime.
Hey, we're not that old, dog. Chill.
Are we?
No, I remember when Deion was playing both ways in the Super Bowl. So,
yeah.
So I mean, like those are the parents that he's in there. The grandparents that are raising some of these kids, they know Deion. Like they watch him for real. Like everybody's a fan of Deion. Has always been. Even before he was coaching, he was always entertainment.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's getting his kids. I mean, he's going to the hot spots. Yeah. Georgia surpassed California in recruits.
You feel that is because I feel like Georgia became a quarterback haven over the last 10 years. I don't know
absolutely. No, absolutely.
You think Georgia's officially just said, "Hey, Cali, it's Florida." To me, right now, for the quarterback race, I think it's Texas, Georgia, and now Arizona's on the come up at quarterbacks. I know Cali's got them, but I feel like Texas and Georgia are quarterback hotspots, like thriving with them right now.
Well, California's losing population.
That's true
That's
too.
part of the
I
problem.
just about to say, to be fair to Cali, a lot of these kids actually originate from Cali still. Just transfer across the country. Like Jay Garcia is one of them, right?
Yeah.
California kid who ended up in Georgia. So
You gotta go. You gotta go where they're at. You gotta go get players from where they're at. He signed. I think he signed. He signed a kid from London. He signed kids from 13 different states. This go around.
I'm not gonna lie, he's gonna have me watching Colorado games next year. I'm not gonna lie.
Sure. Well, you heard they canceled. They tried to get a Colorado versus Arizona State Week 0 game, and they canceled it because it leaked, right? But I thought like
Should have
when
just got it.
well, my thing is that I think that's the what Colorado was talking about. They don't know if they'll have enough money to play Primer. That they'll find it, right? I think within 2 or 3 weeks they'll have enough money to pay him his entire contract. You know what I'm saying? I think the team
have enough. Their endowment. They could dip into their endowment on the worst case scenario.
right.
There's so many millionaires that are boosting. They're gonna sell out. I need to go see if they even started selling tickets just to see how much a ticket would cost right now. They'll have money for him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have took the deal.
It's just, I guess what I'm saying is the fact that they made that statement, and maybe you're right. Maybe it's just not in their athletic budget to have a $5 million a year head coach, but I think he makes it all back for you by week 6, right? I think by week 6, he increases revenue so much that I've already gotten a return on my initial promise of investment, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if next year, because Deion is still a businessman. We have to agree on that, right? Deion's going to come back to the table and say, hey, man, right now y'all are pumping through Clemson money, right? Or right now y'all are pumping through Auburn money or Alabama. I don't think they get Alabama money, but you get what I'm saying? Like, this is what y'all are pumping through. Y'all got to come back and give me my ends. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm pretty sure he's going to do big numbers for them. Pretty sure he's going to do numbers for them.
Yeah, but honestly, I think he's there for the long term.
Yeah.
You think so?
You don't want that. You don't want that SEC grind in your life. You want that.
You want that Saban smoke?
If Deion's the Deion that I know, he wants that competition. He wants to prove something. Now I don't know what school that's gonna be.
At 21, and then I'll say it like this: at 25, at 35, 45, and he's what, 55 right now?
He's in his 50s.
He's a different person at all 4 ages. This ain't the Deion that was playing.
Shit, he's the same motherfucker to me.
He has the same personality.
Yeah.
He has the same personality, but he's older, he's wiser.
Hey, to you mentioned the tickets, so not to get off track, I'm gonna just bring it up. If I wanted to go 4 tickets right now, so let's say me, Benny, Adrian, and Terrance want to go to Colorado at TCU. This is TCU, right? If we wanted to go sit in lower level for that game, this is end zone seats. They want $600 a ticket.
They just came off the national championship appearance. You got Prime coming to town.
Yeah.
Everybody in Dallas gonna want to see it.
That's gonna be a big game.
Yeah, it's a week 0 game.
No, it's a week 1.
Yeah, they couldn't move that game. Like, how could you move that? If I'm TCU, you're not moving that game.
No.
You know how much money you got to pay me to move that game?
Labor Day weekend.
Yeah,
Labor Day weekend.
I don't blame them. They would have to pay me.
No, nosebleeds, back. They want $209 a person, right?
Yeah.
You know that's
people gonna pay it. People gonna pay
it. What's that?
Is that the resale or that's off Ticketmaster?
That's the resale. Ticket Center. That's off a Ticket Center. Hold on, I'm gonna go through Vivid Seats in the center.
Where's that game at again? Is it a neutral site game or that's at?
No, that's at TCU.
Amon G. Carter.
Yeah, if you want, this is non-resale, same lower levels. I see $912 for lower levels. That's crazy.
I don't want
That's
to be that low. I be not.
I'm just saying,
I can't coach. You can't coach when I'm that low.
man. That's crazy, man. $542. Again, I think Colorado's going to make their money back real quick with this kid. They host Nebraska. You got to think that Nebraska game's going to be packed out because
That's
Nebraska's
a
going
big
to travel.
A. That's a big A robbery.
Lower level. Here you go. Lower level for Nebraska going for $1,000 at Colorado.
Yeah, as it should.
Phew.
As it should. What the Skybox going for? The
I ain't even-
Skybox, you want a box? They probably want $25,000.
Man, you know I'm too poor to look at that, bro. I don't got the search features. Adrian probably got the search features for that. I don't got the search features for that. Man.
Stop it.
So I mean, probably $25,000 for a suite. That come with all the works, parking pass,
Yeah,
you know, all that. That's a big game, man.
yeah. They're gonna probably do 10 million on tickets alone within their first week of the game, bro. That's crazy, man. But yeah, I think his impact's that heavy, man. I think he's gonna have the money flowing through there, man. I definitely do.
Like I said, I'm excited to watch it for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna be tuned in.
Yeah. We ain't going to the game. We can't afford it, but you know, we'll check it out on TV or something.
I might put my little my little deal in for you know, the coaches get X amount of tickets. I might put my little deal in for that, but
yeah.
I don't know. I probably ain't gonna get it.
I mean, it's up there, but it might be worth it, man, to see them in person. It's not gonna be too often that they make their way down here. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It'll be too often they make their way down here.
So this is my question.
Here you go.
What do y'all Professor Adrian, what do you think about the new Mike Norvell?
I remember how you felt about Mike Norvell. I thought Mike did a good job this past year, man. I thought it was real interesting. Well, I think he was calling the offense all along, but I thought it was very interesting how the offense looked very drastically different from when Kenny was here to when Kenny left. So I don't know how much Kenny was actually calling plays or if Mike completely took over play calling. But I ain't got no complaints. I mean, they won 10 games. I don't know what to say.
Top 10, and Travis coming back, right?
Yes. And Travis took a leap that I did not see coming. I didn't see Jordan taking that leap in his play. So
At least you admit it. I appreciate you for admitting that.
What's that? About Jordan Jones?
The leap.
Nobody saw that. And if anybody telling you that they saw that, they're lying.
This is we can celebrate success, right? But we're not going to celebrate delusion. You know, folks will come out here and be like, man, no, real talk, bro. Like folks will come on and be like, man, I always knew we was winning 10. Dog. I knew it. Ain't no shit. Ain't no jack shit. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I think your biggest blessing, right? And not blessing, but the biggest win for Norvell clearly had to be Trey Benson, right? You got a guy that comes off and pops off whatever he was, 9 yards per carry, agent. Is that what he finished with or something like that?
He only finished with about 7 yards carry.
My bad, 7 yards a carry.
The high six. It's the high six.
But he comes in and he gives y'all almost 1,000 yards in 4 or 5 games. And I forgot, I think I said it last time. I have to do a video on it. But the window dressing that Norvell does, and we talked about that too, is he will literally have you looking at nothing, right? And that's a credit. That's absolutely a credit to him and his coaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
He will have you looking at a formation and completely forget the fact that a play is going to be ran out of that formation. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think. As a matter of fact, I probably lost track of how many times I saw a simple smash concept ran to the boundary and nobody knew it was coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, smash is something you see in 7-on-7, 27 times a damn game. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And Norvell runs smash to the boundary, and it's like nobody had any idea that they would run smash out of that formation. So That's what I think is a big step forward. And it's probably because Travis has had time to settle down, and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, it took a leap.
Yeah, he settled down and just get comfortable with the play calling style and things like that. Because man, there are times guys are just running wide open. And it's like nobody had any idea that concept could come out of that set. I mean, that's a really good look on his part. You know, really good look on his part.
What'd you think, Benny? What you got?
Yeah, I didn't see that. I didn't see that coming.
I know you didn't. I remember.
I didn't see that coming. So they're gonna be top 10 start the year.
No, I'm pretty sure we start the season off top 10. We pretty much
You got your quarterback coming back.
We bringing back everybody that produced last year. They bringing back.
Yeah, so I mean, there's no reason for them not to be top 10. They finished what, like 12? AP coaches poll?
I think 11.
11.
Yeah.
I mean, they gonna be.
I saw something today. I think I think Caleb's the favorite to win the Heisman again, which we know how that usually ends. That's probably not going to be the case. I think Travis is like 2 or 3 on that.
Oh, he's on there.
Which we'll see. We'll see how that plays out.
Y'all added the end from South Carolina.
Yeah, you got him. Gilbert. You got Gilbert, Edmond. They had a good off season.
Oh man,
we had a good off season, man. So a lot of expectations coming up this year, and I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for it.
Any big non-conference games?
Just LSU again.
You said who?
LSU again.
In Dallas?
No, this one gonna be in Orlando.
In Orlando.
Yeah.
They should be able to handle that.
Yeah.
You speaking of the Heisman thing, Norvell kind of taking a step forward, etc. You guys don't have your eyes on any kind of sleeper coaches, any sleeper Heisman guys coming into the year?
In February?
You don't have any, because what Norvell did, he did 2 years and then a big jump, right? Which is what's supposed to happen if you got a good hire as a coach, right? Like,
fair.
You need a little bit of time, and then boom, you make your jump.
You make that jump, yeah.
So like I'm looking at even though it's only year 2, Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame.
He finished the season well.
I'm looking at that as, okay, is Hartman the guy? Because I think their quarterback play was ass last year. I think anybody.
He lost his quarterback though, didn't he?
They brought in Sam Hartman from Wake Forest, bro.
Yeah.
They got, is it Sam Hartman in year 6?
Yeah, he's like a super senior, bro.
He was like 7.
No, I think Sam Hartman and Jordan Travis, they're in the same class.
Yeah,
I think they're both years 5 or 6 guys. Yeah, something like that.
I'm saying you
feels like Hartman's been in school for like 10 years, though.
Yeah. I'm just saying you bring in Sam Hartman. They finish the year strong.
Somebody said Shane Beamer. I mean, the way Shane's recruiting down there.
I don't.
The Harbor kid.
Yeah.
He might go 10 flat.
But I was talking with Juerg about this. Where do you use this? I've heard tight end. I've heard some people say he's a big receiver.
If he plays DN and he has a track career, so it's like I can't put too much weight on him.
True. Like, I mean, you're talking about this guy might be a legit Olympian.
I think you play him. I think you play him as a flex tight end, right? And you deal with whatever the consequences are, right? So if he doesn't have great hands right away, who cares? Because somebody has to pay attention to that kid. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no if Benny's calling a defense, if Benny's scheming and say, hey, there's a guy over there that's 6'5", that runs legit 4-3. He's got to be a legit 4-3 guy. We got to think, right, Benny? So he's 6.
He has a slow. His takeoff is slow. He's so long.
So what do you do?
4-3 guy, half. He just went 6'6" at indoor at Texas Tech like 2 weeks ago.
Did he really?
He ran a what? You said
he ran like a 6'6".
So you got him as a flex tight end, and you say, hey, I just make
him a big receiver, man. Bump that.
I run him out of the slot.
He's gonna put on a little weight naturally just because he's a kid.
Yeah.
But I don't mind him putting on 5 to 10 pounds, and he's 235.
I agree.
But I can't make him 255, 260 because the kid also wants to run track.
Yeah, his track career is over then if he's doing that.
Yeah. Like, in fact, he may even lose weight.
It depends.
College.
You could have a situation where very similar. Florida State recruited Marvin Bracey, and he ended up never playing it down for Florida State because he pursued his track career because they was gonna ask him to put on too much weight, and I mean, you might have a situation there where maybe he picks track over. I don't know.
I still don't think he picks track because even if you're the world record is what, 9.58
in the 100.
Oh yeah. It's not. I thought it was 9.59, but yeah,
9.59.
Yeah.
So 10 flat is really, really fast. But
Right.
you're telling me
he's got to cut.
Yeah.
Now, is it possible? Because I don't know what Usain Bolt was running at that age.
True.
I can't. Well, he was in the Olympics, wasn't he? At his age, 18.
What you saying?
Bolt was never weighing 225.
Yeah.
Damn.
He was never weighing 225. I think the tight end assessment is right, but again, I think he's a flex guy, and I think you force him because of his speed to put pressure, like inverted pressure on a secondary, right? Like, you guys are used to, or secondaries are used to, Ben, you would probably appreciate, at least I think you would think this way. You're expecting the 4-2 guy to be out on the edge, right? Because like that's probably the hardest thing to account for is that guy that's outside the numbers that can run past everybody. Like how do you know what I'm saying? Like how do you actually get out there and cover that guy? You got to dedicate 2 guys to it. But I think if you get that type of speed going inverted and you get him running at safeties and you're pulling safeties inside, that now creates openings to the outside of the field. I could be wrong about that though, but that's what I think you should do with that kid. He's just that deep speed's got to be crazy. It's got to be absolutely crazy.
Yeah. But the thing is he's not 10 flat with pads on and with this contact when you're running.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I say in tight end the thing is, if I'm worried about his track career, do I want him inline blocking? I don't know if I want that.
That's why I said just make him a big receiver. So, yeah. But they got a unique and a fun problem to have because I don't know where you use. I was talking to you. I don't know where you put him.
Put him out there at that wide 9 and just run forward, buddy. You know what I'm saying? Put him out there on 3rd down. And
I don't know if he built like that though.
You don't think so?
I don't know if he built like that.
So you wouldn't stand him up if you played an odd front. You wouldn't stand him up at a 9 and just say, "Hey, I need you to stay here."
Like, say if he was an outside linebacker, because he's not a 3-4 end.
No, I mean outside linebacker, correct?
Outside linebacker. I mean, you could, but at what point are you going to say, okay, you can't lose weight? Like I need you to put a little on because now you have other guys who are your size coming to block you. Like if they bring a tight end in the game, you need to be able to fight. You need to be able to fight, set the edge, and combat that. And at 225.
Can I give you a guy that we haven't brought up in this conversation? Y'all remember Deion Jordan at Oregon?
Yeah.
You can't see a Deion Jordan type of role. Now, I don't even think that role exists in the SEC. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Deion Jordan only wanted to play football, though.
Fair enough.
I was about to say, to Benny's point, if you move him on anywhere on defense, you're asking him to get up to 240.
Sure.
And like you said, this kid he doesn't only want to be a football player. I guess he's still interested in track. So unless you can convince him, hey man, leave track alone, football's where your future's at, then you can start having that defensive conversation with him.
Sure.
Yeah, if he only wants to be a football player, I
might put his hand in the dirt if he only want to be a football player.
Yeah, I just don't know what defense they run at. I don't know if they're 4-2-5.
I think they're a 3-man odd man front. I think South Carolina's an odd man front.
Then he's too fast. I don't want him as a.
I don't want him as a Not a 5 tick.
You don't want to. The reason I bring up Dion, I mean, if y'all remember Dion Jordan at Oregon, he was outside linebacker.
I remember him.
He was like 40% of the plays, though.
Right. That's true too. I liked the, and I don't know if Harbor's that fluid, but deadline Dion Jordan over slot receivers. You know what I'm saying? And trust him enough to cover that underneath that hook curl. You know what I'm saying? At 6'5", 230, 240, whatever he was. But that's the type of creativity I think you would see. You would expect to come out of that speed, but it's a question of, can he bend his hips? Can he actually turn a corner? Like, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot more of a conversation to be had.
Listen.
Thank you.
A lot more of a conversation to be had.
Yeah.
That was the biggest miss. That was a big Dolphins miss, huh? Didn't they trade up to get Dion Jordan?
Mm-hmm. Did they trade? I don't know if they traded up, but I know they drafted him.
He's out the league right now?
Yeah, he's out the league, bro.
I don't even think he lasted a few years, right? He didn't even have like a
second contract, huh?
No, I don't think he made a second contract.
Not with Miami. He I think he played some in Seattle, and just
did he?
Yeah, but he never got a second big deal. Benny, did you look at the measurements that came through on the Senior Bowl? Did you see that?
No. We I wanted to watch it and didn't realize I was going to be gone so long. We had this Region 5 meeting today. But my dad called me and was like, man, they measured the Isaiah Land kid from town. He measured, he was only 225. And I guess he's looked so much bigger when I saw him, because I went to the concert this year.
They say your boy Tyreek out there impressive.
Well, the reason I bring it up, because I thought I shared it with you, Adrian. I don't know if I did, but there's this kid out of Oklahoma, Wanya Morris, right? 6'4", 315, 35 and 3/8 inch arms, wingspan of almost 86 inches. That's insane.
Is that the kid that they said that he's had the longest wingspan they've ever measured, right?
No. So the longest is DeJuan Jones from Ohio State. This 89 and a half inch wingspan.
That is ridiculous.
He's a mutant.
Yeah, that's not even
6'8", 375, 11 and a half inch hands, 36 and 5/8 arm length. That's crazy. I seen that pop up, bro. And that's Benny, we played, like when I was at Suncoast, I never thought I was one of the biggest dudes, because you look at Thomas and all these guys that we played with, whatever. I thought those were big human beings. And then you see a dude that pops up with an almost 90-inch wingspan, right?
Like I said, it's a mutant, man.
There's no way. I don't foresee a situation, and I don't know how bad he is at football, right? Because I'm assuming he's pretty good, right? How doesn't he have a 12-year career in the NFL other than injuries?
So the Ohio State kid was this year?
Yeah, DeJuan Jones. It's this year, bro. He's 6'8", 375. Plays offensive tackle.
That's huge. But the Wanya Morris kid, he's a transfer from Tennessee.
Yeah.
He was one of the top ranked kids coming out of high school. But yeah, 6'8", 375. Like, the only thing is, can they keep his weight down enough to where he lasts? And is he too tall? Is he too big? Once you get to a certain height, it's almost to your detriment. That's just like when you brought up the quarterback from that's the one in Tennessee. Lama.
Oh, Iyamaleon.
Oh yeah.
He's like 6'6".
Lama, yeah.
I don't know if I would want a quarterback that's 6'6".
Brock Osweiler, right?
He was 6'8".
Yeah.
Brock was huge.
Is there a certain point where you're too tall?
You remember? I think he was shorter though. But you remember Orlando Brown? He plays for the Chiefs right now, left tackle for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
He's 6'8", 345. I remember looking at his combine, and it was just embarrassing. The times he ran at the combine they were bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, for a guy who's coming into the NFL, he just looked kind of kind of sloppy, out of shape. But I guess the lesson I took from him, and I don't know if he's an outlier or not, is once you reach a certain physical stature, as long as you can move, the NFL could find a way for you. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no way I thought Orlando Brown would be an NFL starter. He tested way too bad. He tested way too bad. You know, I think he was if I could pull it, I think he was like almost a 6-second 40 or something like that. Like, but he's been starting in the league. He's about to play in the Super Bowl next week. You know what I mean? A huge human being. Yeah, he ran 5.68, and only put up what did he put up on the bench, man?
He had to be at least 25.
It's tough when
No.
them guys with them long wingspans. It's hard for them on that
long
bench.
arms is tough.
But man, he did 18 reps.
That makes sense.
You know, I mean, it was one of those things that threw me off because I'm like, bro, how are you that big? You know what I'm saying?
Arms, bro. Them long arms.
Yeah.
I got shorter arms, so it's a little like I'm not. And when I pull my chest out, when I'm locking out, I'm not going too far. I imagine this guy's probably going like this far.
A full 2 feet basically. Trying to get that.
So it's like it's tougher.
I never thought physically he would translate. I thought he just tested too bad. I'm interested to see what the DeJuan Jones guy does because I don't think there's any way he runs better than 5'6", right?
You see,
6'8".
The funny thing is, they measure the 40, they run the 40, and they do all of that. But really, the true test is can a guy power clean and can he snatch? I can tell if you can play football if you can power clean.
Yeah.
So, and maybe the scouts do see it like when they go do their mid-season or off-season visits, they actually watch the weight room. But that's more important than the bench and then in the 40 because you rarely run 40 yards in a play.
Sure. Right. I got one for you. You guys would appreciate this because y'all are little guys, but they had this. I said little guys, y'all like skill position players and shit. Julius Brents, right, cornerback out of Kansas State, 6'3", 200 pounds, almost 83-inch wingspan. That's pretty crazy.
That is crazy. At 6'3"?
At 6'3", he's got 33 and 6/8-inch arms. That's pretty crazy to me. You know, that's why when we be talking recruiting stuff, when we talk stars and stuff like that, like I look at that kid and ask myself, well, how did he get to Kansas State and what did somebody miss, right? Like, was there a growth spurt that somebody missed? To your point with Cam Ward, was he playing wing T fullback in high school? You know what I'm saying? And somebody said, nah, man, we're going to let you play corner because we see the body type or, you know what I'm saying? But that's not the type of body I'd expect to be at Kansas State. You know what I mean? I thought that was a pretty impressive measurement. They had another kid at another guard coming out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, Chattanooga, like 35-inch arms, like it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, how does that kid make it to Chattanooga past? You know what I'm saying? All these layers.
Because he was probably 240 in high school.
Yeah. Probably.
But then when you go to those smaller schools, sometimes you actually have better coaches that are more technical coaches because you have to be. In order for me to keep my job, I have to be a really, really good coach. Say I'm a Power 5 guy. Sometimes they just keep the jobs because they can recruit. But like those guys at like Chattanooga, or those are guys who've been there for like 10 years, 15 years. And it's like, I really got to coach. I got to know what I'm doing because I'm not getting the cream of the crop. I got to really develop. Some programs focus on developing, a little bit more. Like my weight program would be a little different at Chattanooga than it would be at FSU. Right. So like Vic, you remember Vic Valoria? That was the
vaguely
under Jimbo.
Yeah,
he was the head strength coach. He was our strength coach at SMU before he went there.
Oh, okay.
And it's like it was different dealing with us than dealing with FSU players. Once the players get at FSU, I can't get these guys hurt. Like I'm gonna lose my job. Like with us, you kind of needed to push us a little bit more. There wasn't as much being spent on recruiting with us, so like it's just different. Like some of the guys at FSU, they're so strong already. Like if I get them stronger, what how's that going to translate on the field? Well, I need to make them more comfortable. I need to get, I need to lift them a little differently. But when I go to a place like Chattanooga, like they're probably pumping iron, real iron, 4 times a week.
Right.
Easy. Even in season, they're probably pumping 4 times. So you may get more development out of a kid like that than you would at a Power 5 school.
These guys have growth spurts too, though.
That too. Yeah.
I mean, Florida State has one in verse. It's pretty well documented that when he went to Albany, he was like 6'2", 200 pounds.
Right.
Yeah.
Now he's
6'4".
linebacker. Now he's a defensive end. He's 6'4", 250. Like that's how he ends up at Albany, because he's a small guy and all of a sudden he's huge.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw one out there, bro. You have this, so I'm just looking at Senior Bowl measurements, and there's this guy Andre Carter II. I don't know if he's related to the NFL Andre Carter, right? But he's 6'6", 252 with 34-inch arms. He played at Army, right? And you say, how does that kid get to Army, right? He was a 0-star, 0 anything wide receiver coming out of high school at 6'4", 200 pounds. So grew.
There you go.
He grew 2 inches and put on 60 pounds. That's wild, right? And now he's an NFL, legit NFL pro. Because
he's gonna be a first round pick.
It seems like it.
Yeah,
it seems like it. 30. He's a dog, man. But yeah, that's a receipt. It's an inexact science, right? It's just things that make you wonder. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, you never know,
bro. You got to see some of the coaches. I might get in trouble for saying this, but you got to see some of the coaches that like when they come through, like they don't even look at potential at all. And like even with the backstory that we have on kids, and it's like, so some of the guys don't know what they're doing when it comes to recruiting, just flat out. They don't know.
Love it.
The guys who usually are good at it, they've either been in the game long enough or they played themselves. So when they see kids, they automatically have, like, I have somebody to compare this kid to. And I know how that kid turned out. That's a big, if I were a college head coach, that would be something that I would take a lot of stock in. Like, does this guy know how to compare kids of, kids that we're recruiting or kids that we have on our team to guys that they either played with or coached in the past? I think that's a skill that a lot of people don't value, but you can tell when a guy's going to be good, like automatically looking at him.
I think to your point, man, I think some of these coaches let the recruiting services do all the work for them.
They're lazy. You're right.
And just say, oh, it's a 5-star. I'll recruit this kid.
Yeah, they recruit on paper. That's what got Larry Coker fired.
Mm-hmm.
Then they wait till everybody else offers a kid. Now we want them. It's like, but no, we told you about him before. Like, we have a kid that just signed to TSU. Like, the very first time I ever saw him, I said, that's what an NFL lineman looks like. He had the skinny ankles. He's 6'5.5", 315 pounds. And a couple other schools offered him, but he's going to TSU. And I'm like he looks like a pro. Like
Texas Southern, right?
Yeah, Texas Southern.
Yep.
So it's like there's certain kids, it's like that's what it looks like. Now you may not be getting that production right now, but you don't know his backstory. A lot of people don't know he didn't get an O-line coach until he was 16 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
He didn't even play as a junior because we had 5 guys better than him. But as a senior, he really developed and he's coming around. And it's like, if I'm recruiting, I have to take into account. I have to take that into account.
Yeah.
You really bring in a different perspective when you start talking about how you should look at prospects.
Mm-hmm.
I think fans get in we get in the same habit is in stars. We've had the conversation. Stars do mean something now.
Yeah.
Right.
But you can also find some real quality stuff out there if you're not just looking at the stars.
Well, let's
if you know what you're looking for and what
but
you're looking at.
You don't have what we don't have. What major college football coaches don't have in many cases is the luxury of time to build trust, right? because those recruiting rankings are more trustworthy than that coach's opinion, whether we like it or not, right? Like at the end of the day, if Benny gets a job at Auburn tomorrow and Benny brings in a top 3 class, nobody's going to say anything about Benny Thomas, the recruiter and head football coach, right? But if Benny got to Auburn tomorrow and signed 7 3-star offensive linemen who had big bodies without a great coaching history, and he's like, hey, give me 3 years with these guys, everybody at Auburn is going to say,
Yeah,
well,
that's the time. Yeah.
Alabama got 3 of them that are 5 stars. You know what I'm saying? And that's going to be the end of the conversation. You got to do a better job recruiting. Yeah. So it's like you, and I guess that goes to the small school thing. And disappointed I didn't wrap my head around that earlier, is that those small schools say, hey man, you already hired me. You're not going to pay my buyout. I got 5 years, right? So I'm going to take that kid, and Benny, the kid that you brought up, that's Okafor, right? Mm-hmm. Okafor. Adrian, the kid's 6'6", 320, got 0 stars on the recruiting service. And to his point, because I follow Benny, I saw the kid's offer weeks ago, his commitment weeks ago. I looked at him, I'm like, how is that a Texas Southern kid? Right? With all due respect to Texas Southern.
They did a good job recruiting him. They did.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
I'm sure they did. But, you're just looking at the body type, right? That's a Sunday body type. I don't need to know anything else. At the very least, he's going to have 33-inch arms. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he could play on Sundays if he really puts the time in. You know what I'm saying? So the point being is, at the end of the day, you wonder who's really got their eyes on these kids, and do they have that luxury of time? Like, Nick Saban's going to take the cream of the crop, but why is it University of Houston, right? Why is it University of Houston saying to themselves, regardless of which coach is going to be here, this kid's going to be here for 5 years. He's going to be damn good in year 5. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the difference. We have a chance to be analytical, after the fact. Whereas these guys is like, man, I got a family to feed and I'm not trying to get fired in a year and a half because I can't recruit.
That's a good point. And I also think the portal is going to make that even more of a thing. Because now the coach at Auburn or Bama or whoever, he's not going to waste his time developing that player. You know what he's going to do? He's going to let Texas Southern develop that player, because then that player is going to hit the portal once he outperforms that school, and then they're just going to recruit him again anyway.
I'm glad you brought that portal up. If you get labeled, if you're a guy who consistently brings in 4 stars, high 3 stars and 5 stars, you get labeled as a recruiter, you'll always have a job. And so I get it. Why the guys they're like, y'all talking about winning, I'm worried about having a job. I get it.
Yeah. James Coley. We was just talking about James Coley a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so I do get it. The portal, a lot of people don't like the portal.
I love it.
Let me tell you why I don't think the portal is a bad thing.
I love it. I got no issues with it.
There's usually about 5 reasons why, about 4 or 5 reasons why guys are in the portal.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these guys are hopping in the portal and dying.
Oh, yeah. They're not getting good advisement at all.
Some of the high school coaches are kind of like, well, it's hurting it for the kids. Like, well, really, the only thing that's hurting is a kid that would have been a group of 5 guy is now an FCS guy or a really high D2. But
Benny, you're saying what I've been saying.
Yeah, but the point is, well, I know our recruiting coordinator, Coach Akunu, does a really good job of just making sure the kids aren't paying for school.
That's it.
And so whether you play at a group of 5 or D2 or JUCO, we want our kids to go to school for free. So the portal, okay, you went from going to Louisiana Monroe to going to Tarleton State. Big deal. You still getting a scholarship. You still getting getting an education and going into the next level, and you're not going to be in debt when you come out.
Right.
And guess what? If you're the player that everybody thinks you is, you're gonna hit the portal anyway and go to that big school.
Right.
And they're gonna pay you to come to that big school.
Right. So
I'm with you. I'm with
the
you.
portal, again, the portal is the free market.
Yep.
And I'm in favor of the free market because you get what you deserve.
Right.
I think what it really has done is really help with the parity, because now
TCU don't play in the national championship without that.
and then you saw, but even before they played in there, they got 3 guys from Alabama. There were big time guys. The Brockermeyer kid transfer over there. I think it's still stayed at Alabama.
Man, but pop up on hour 3. What do you want?
Yeah.
What's up, y'all boys?
Man, hey, time out. Don't come in here with the little Cuban link.
Like say it's Cuban link on. Where you coming from, bro?
Hey, boy, can't hide money, boy. I keep telling y'all that.
Hey, boy, man, I see y'all. I seen y'all putting on a good show tonight, man. I just came in to show face, man.
That's crazy. Hey, man.
At least show face. Hey, at least I'm not gonna pretend like I got malfunctioning issues and stuff, equipment issues.
He came on to show us his necklace. That's really
I just came in. So hey, man, it's good to see you on here, Coach.
What's going on?
Hey, that boy shining in the dark. You see him, right?
He look like Dion.
Hey, but
flossing, man.
Hey, but y'all
on hour 3.
But nah, man, I just came in to holler at y'all, man. I was listening to the show a little bit when I stepped outside. But I'm gonna hit y'all up, man. Y'all enjoy the rest of the show. I just want to show face real quick, man. That's all.
Yeah, bro.
Use that NIL. We gonna come.
Because
I'm not paying for nothing.
I'm barely allowed to be out tonight, man. Them boys can't go nowhere. Them boys ain't allowed to go nowhere. He say bring the diamond test. They gonna touch me like that. Yeah,
that's how we get
they
down.
coming for me. Wow, it ain't gotta be like that.
You already know.
Hey, get that malice out your heart, man. Get that. But I'm gonna holler at y'all boys.
Blessed like that.
I'm gonna let y'all boys later on, man. Take it easy.
Be
all
easy,
right, bro.
Yeah.
Be safe out there.
The boy came in here and said, y'all boys broke as hell. What y'all doing?
Man came in here hour 3 talking about what's up.
Oh man. Yeah. That's funny, man. But yeah, man, I don't know, man. I think the more I don't know, we talk recruiting and all that, and I know Adrian gets involved with the we'll call it the squabbles. You know what I'm saying?
It's fun to go back and forth sometimes.
People getting to arguing about, oh my dude's rated 155 in the country. Your dude's rated 170. Man, that shit don't mean nothing, man. Like it's so. I think what people don't do enough of, bro, is when they look at them star ratings, they're really within. If you go do the math, they're really within, in most cases, like 1/1000th of a point of each other. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like the difference is so tiny when you look at the difference between number 1 and number 100. That number 100 is probably one bad performance at a camp from being number 1. You get what I'm saying? Like that's really, I don't know how you feel about that, Benny, but like that's really what it is. At the end of the day, an elite athlete is an elite athlete, and all you're just splitting hairs when you start talking about, hey man, who's the number 1 kid and who's the number 200 kid in the country. You know what I'm saying? Well, not number 1, but let's say number 20 and 200. Like there's not that much of a difference in that kid. You know what I mean? But I guess it just depends on who you trust, right? And to Benny's point, like his boy Matt Campbell is doing it with number 500, number 600, number 727. You know what I'm saying? And still sending guys to Sunday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to Benny's point, Matt don't have the pressure, so Matt can develop those guys without having to worry. He can sign those guys because guess what? If Mario Cristobal starts signing the 500 and 600 player in the country, people are going to look at him sideways.
Boy,
but we didn't pay you $8 million to do that.
Nope.
All right.
Nope.
I saw somebody put in the chat earlier saying FSU hired Ed Reed for something.
Man, I don't listen. Don't listen.
They was just talking. Okay.
That's why I didn't even entertain it.
I was like,
people talk because it's free all the time, bro.
First of all, do you even think Ed Reed would come on?
I mean, did they fill his job at Miami, the chief of staff? Did they fill it yet?
And then what would we even hire him to do?
I don't even think it's a point of them feeling it, man. If I was Ed, I wouldn't do anything right now.
We just hired Patrick Surtain to coach DB, so I don't know.
You know, I don't think there's a role for Ed at Florida State, but I don't think he'd take the job. You know, I don't. I think Ed. I don't care what anybody says. I think Ed's gonna get another job.
I hope he gets an opportunity. I hate the way that Bethune thing played out.
Well,
I think it was handled poorly on both sides, though.
Sure.
But I wanted to see him. I wanted to see him get a chance to coach and see what he could do.
You want some organizational wisdom, and I only picked that up doing what I've been doing for work for the last 9 years. People get so caught up, especially us as leaders, as men, right? If somebody steps out of line and calls you out for your bullshit unprofessionally, you say to yourself, man, who the hell are you to talk to me like that? Essentially, I'm the guy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, but instead, the real good ones, like I'm pretty sure the Nick Sabans of the world and the Matt Campbells of the world, these guys, instead of just saying, who the hell are you to talk to me that way? They probably ask themselves, hey, is this true? You know what I'm saying? They probably take a second to say, is what you said about me and my organization or what I did actually true? You know what I'm saying? Before I just say, hey, you're the wrong person to be here. Because maybe there's fact to it. Maybe there's something I got to do better.
Nick telling you to go ahead about your business.
Well, he's at that point now, bro, where it's just like, okay.
He tells the coaches all the time, like, you want to do something your way, go get your own program and do it.
Fair enough. But you, again, I don't think you'd ever walk into the Nick Saban program and see that your office is dirty as shit. You get what I'm saying? I don't think I would go as far to say is that if Nick Saban doesn't like a janitor, you know what I'm saying?
He probably don't work there. He's probably not working.
You see what I'm saying, bro? Like, I don't like that way that lady in the cafeteria talked to me today. She's probably out the door. You get what I'm saying? But you have organizational excellence, bro, and it starts with people who are actually willing to like address shit. You know what I mean? That Cookman shit, man. That shit, you go ahead and throw that out the window. I don't know everybody in fam that was jumping up to defend Cookman, they was just putting on the front. You know what I'm saying? They want to keep them boys down in the dump so they can do what they do. You know what I'm saying? Cookman just looking to beat them boys 50-0 again. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, a fan looking to beat the boys.
I remember the coach yesterday.
They kind of Raymond Woody.
Trash.
Where was he at?
With Willie down there at FAU.
FAU linebacker coach.
He was here coaching our linebackers when Willie was here too. Matter of fact, Raymond Woody has been everywhere Willie Taggart's been, if I'm not mistaken.
He's followed him everywhere.
That makes sense though. Get somebody you trust.
But he's a BC alum.
He was an All-American at BCU.
Yeah.
How old is he? It's like what, the 90s?
Yeah,
something like that.
Late 40s. You know, I think again, to Adrian's point, I think they both could have handled it better. But it's like, man, y'all gotta. I don't know, man.
That whole thing was unfortunate.
You gotta do your homework. Both sides should have done their homework.
That's what I said, bro. You signed in to be a coach, but it's your first time seeing The Office? Like, you didn't know? There's just so many questions I got about that whole situation. Like,
that's a short drive or a quick private flight.
You feel me?
Yeah. Too much.
Like I said, everything was handled poor. Handled poor on both sides, man.
It's just messed up because he wasn't wrong.
No, he wasn't wrong.
How he came off.
But how he came off was kind of like, I don't know.
Well, he talked like a safety. The leader of a locker room would talk in a locker room. And it's not a locker room. That's the problem. You know what I'm saying? You're in the corporate world now. You know what I'm saying? There's different ways to air your grievances.
Yeah.
You know? If it was Ed talking to me, you know, his teammate in the locker room, I probably would have been like, oh, all right, bro. You know what I'm saying? They get my shit together. You can't do that to people that got public images to upkeep and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But a whole nother conversation, man.
Yeah. I just read that and I was like, man, they said it with such conviction. I was like, I wonder if this is true. Yeah. We were already talking about something else. But I was like,
don't pay attention. Look, I know this ain't Twitter, but Twitter, anything you see on Twitter, don't believe it. Like that. Especially when it comes to this person's about to be the next coach of this, and don't believe none of that.
That's why I'll be reading Adrian's tweets like that, bro. You gotta be that.
I don't never put out no facts. I just talk trash.
Y'all see, just because I'm looking at the Senior Bowl stuff, y'all see this linebacker. You know the linebacker from Troy, who's like the leading linebacker, leading tackler in the history of NCAA. You know what I'm talking about? Kid named Carlton Marshall. You know who that is? No, nobody knows. He's basically like Buster Davis reincarnated, 5'8", 220 pounds kind of thing. Y'all know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
I no.
You never heard?
He plays
I'm
at
just trying
Troy.
to be a better family man during the season.
He's 5'7",
He plays at Troy.
210. Yeah, played middle linebacker at Troy and is like the all-time leading tackler in NCAA. Yeah,
What do you
5'7",
got? What do you
210.
got? Like 500 tackles?
he's up there, bro. He's way up there. He's at the Senior Bowl. I was going through the measurements. You look at the linebackers. He's 5'7", 210 pounds, 71-inch wingspan. I mean,
He's not getting drafted, bro.
he'll be a special teams guy. I'm sure somebody bring him to special teams.
He's going undrafted, bro.
But that's about it.
I think I don't know
Betty said, "I might got me a little shot." You know what I'm saying?
Nah, that ship is sailed.
Listen. He's got 5 years, 578 total tackles, 51 tackles for a loss. That's who that kid is. 6 interceptions playing at Troy.
Canada.
Yeah. Or the XFL starting back up here.
XFL, yep.
Yeah,
USFL.
USFL. The San Antonio team. I'll be at that one. One of my best friends, he was in the wedding. He coaches for the San Antonio team. They
nice.
The one they had 2 years ago, or when COVID 3 years ago?
Yeah, 2019.
When COVID basically ended it.
Man, the games were so live.
Yeah.
The games were live. Like, to be there, you think like this franchise has been here for like 30 years. Like,
yeah.
I'm interested to see how the XFL bounces back because they're under new leadership now. The Rock owns it now, so I don't know if he's going to do anything. Yeah, he owns XFL now, so I don't know what they're going to do with it. If they're just going to make it strictly football. I hope they don't do anything kooky with it, make it gimmicky.
They say they're not trying to be NFL associated, but I think all these leagues, if they want the best
if you want
results,
success, you want the players to be able to go say, "Hey, I started in the XFL and now I went to the NFL." Like that should be.
Well, and I think that's long term where you look at NIL. That's probably why they passed NIL the way they did, right? Without any restrictions and stuff. Because if I'm a kid and I say, look, I can go. One of the coaches in the XFL is Wade Phillips, right?
Well, I think we talked about this.
So if I can go, if I could go play DB or linebacker for a year for Wade Phillips, right? Or
if I'm one of the top 100 kids in the country. Now NIL has changed it.
Yes.
But we had this conversation, I believe. I remember having this conversation before NIL was a thing. If I'm one of the top 100 recruits in the country, and everybody's always told me the college is the only way to go, why can't I go play in the XFL for 2 years and still make it to the NFL?
Yeah.
And get $500 salary or whatever the case may be, $500,000 salary or whatever.
Call it. Well, even if it's $100,000,
I don't know how much they get paid. I just threw a number out there.
Right.
You probably Google how much they get paid.
Betty said, "Hold up,
hold up,
$500K."
I just started working out again. I might have to work out a little harder. You know that sled.
So
they probably made like $75K or something, right?
XFL year one is doing $50K for 10 games. So if you play all 10 games, so $5,000 a game.
What about the quarterback? They get winning bonuses too if you win.
Yeah, so plus $1,000 per win. That's what I'm reading right now. So basically, you could walk out with 60 G's.
And that don't matter what starter.
Well, here you go. Matter. Here you go. $800 per week for training camp, right? $1,500 per week in active list. I don't know what that means.
That's like the little, like if you're injured.
Okay.
Or practice squad.
So there you go. So you get $1,500 per week to be essentially a practice squad or injured guy. $1,000 per win, right?
Now, how much do you think the scout team kids at Miami are making? Probably
Not that.
nothing. Probably
Not that.
nothing. Probably nothing.
And that's what I'm
my
saying.
point.
Though.
But they wouldn't be good enough to play in this league.
No, they wouldn't. But you're looking at, all right. If I'm and again, that's why I think they pass NIL, right? Because if I'm the 5-star kid that's going to Texas next year, right? Do I want to go play for Texas for free? Answer is absolutely not, right? So I'm gonna go play for Bob Stoops and the Renegades that play out of Arlington and make the $60,000 cash.
You're talking about right now?
Right now.
But if you're a 5-star kid, you're getting more than $60,000.
No, I'm saying without NIL. If we're taking the legal money.
So basically,
out,
if this was 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago,
right?
They still shouldn't do it because I'm gonna keep telling you, I don't play with children.
I'm disagreeing.
I hear you. I hear you. I don't disagree.
Benny, I'm not
with you
disagreeing, but what I'm saying is that you could have a. It's kind of like with the what's it called? Now I think basketball is a different sport, by the way, totally different.
From a physical standpoint, obviously.
But because basketball is just it's whatever. But the kids take who's the kid for Houston right now? Jalen Green. Ain't that his name?
They went to the G League and played for that team. Yeah,
100,000, right?
No, it was I thought he went for $1 million.
He went for $1 million?
Yeah, I thought he went for. I could be wrong, but I thought he went for $1 million. So it's like, can I go to the G League for 100, 200, 300?
I mean, even before the G League, guys was going overseas and then coming back to getting drafted, like Brandon Jennings.
Brandon Jennings, yeah. Shit. I don't know. I think that's probably we never really talked about. I mean, I think in detail, but maybe that's why they push NIL the way they did, because you have competitors now trying to come into the market, right? They're going to need more pro football players, and yeah, why not? Why not?
Not trying to get some of these high school kids. Yeah, I agree.
Why not go get? Because not every kid, and again, Benny, grown man's game, whatever. But you got some of these guys that are 6'3", 305 playing D tackle. Like, hey man, you know what I'm saying? They don't got those guys in it. Well, actually, I take that back.
If the XFL or some of these leagues can establish itself, don't be surprised in 3 or 4 years if they don't make a run at one of these, the number 1 overall player in the country, and offer him something,
right?
Like the first ever big XFL deal. Like, don't be surprised if they try to do that.
So you're saying there's possibly in maybe 3 or 4 years a kid can come out like a Hunter or a David Hicks. The kids,
right. Yeah.
Like that. You're saying like they could make an exception, and be like, all right, man, we're gonna give you $500,000 for your 3 years, because the NFL say you got to do 3 years, so you can do your 3 years here. We're gonna pay you $500,000. How do you? I don't think the players.
So the NFL says you have to do 3 years for college. I don't know if that even.
They say 3 years out of high school.
3 years removed from your graduating. So you could literally just train for 3 years if you want to.
Okay.
In theory, right.
Yeah. But I don't think the Players Association would allow it.
Oh, I don't know how that's fair though, right? Because
I wouldn't vote for that. I wouldn't vote for no kid coming out of high school to come out here and make more money than the grown men that I represent. I'm not if I'm the union rep or whatever, I don't want that.
But bro, they just did it with this kid that's going to Tennessee, right? We was just talking about him, Iyamaleava. They said it's an $8 million NIL. That's the number, right? So if I'm giving you $8 million and expecting you to be here for 3 or 4 years, right? Let's just say you don't even make it to the $8 million. I'm getting $6 million in 3 years. That's more than what about 90% of the people that are going to get drafted into the league next year?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you're dealing with it now. The difference is you're dealing with it in an existing structure, right? The existing structure is the NCAA.
I think if I'm speaking from the XFL's perspective, and the goal for the XFL is to be like a mainstream league,
right?
They have to eventually pursue. They got to strike a deal, and you're not going to pull anybody from the NFL. I don't think that's feasible. But can you pull a high profile? Can you pull Arch Manning? Now, obviously, you're not going to pull him now, but
no.
Can you pull the future Arch Manning? Like this is big name high school prospect. I think it's something that they'll flirt with. I don't know if they can pull.
I don't think they need to though.
Well, you
got to have faces to sell tickets.
No, you don't.
You don't think so?
Nobody's expecting it to be the NFL.
Well, let's say this, Benny. If I think the way you make the most money out of it, if I was being like, if I'm Dwayne Johnson having this conversation, right, I would want to have a league that feeds into the NFL somehow, right?
Right.
Your future stars of the NFL, you're gonna watch them play higher quality football because they're actually professionals, right? And you're gonna watch them during the spring where you're no longer watching your Dallas Cowboys play, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers play, your Texans, whatever, and then you'll see them next fall when you turn on TVs and go to the NFL. Like that's what the goal would be, right? What Adrian is saying is that if eventually I wanted to get out and eclipse, grab some NFL viewership, right? Which I think is a stupid. Like I don't think they're ever going to air in the fall, right? I think we all agree with
Nah,
that,
you don't go head to head. That'd be
right?
suicide. Don't do that.
So would there be a way to say, hey, I'm gonna take, hey, we got the next Adrian Peterson.
Like if you want the endorsements, if you just want XFL to capitalize on making as much money as possible, I think you can need a face to tie to that.
Yeah, who's I would say who's the next Adrian Peterson? Who's the next Maurice Claret?
Preferably a top quarterback, preferably.
Right. Well, but remember, Mike Williams out of USC is a true freshman. Everybody knew he was an NFL guy.
Yeah, somebody like that. I think I don't know. Again, I don't know if they can pull it off. I just think don't be surprised if they try. Is my point.
Right. Well, Benny, if you had a chance to come out of high school and say, "I'm going to go play for," I mean, Wade Phillips isn't going to be alive forever, right? But I'm going to go play for Wade Phillips, right? Or I'm going to go play for defensive coordinator Joe Schmo. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like that's what I think that conversation has to be like, because those are the coaches that they're pulling.
It depends.
Like
in my house,
fair.
In my daddy's house,
fair.
The answer would have been no.
Right, fair. It's fair.
Like, even if I was that good, the answer would have been no.
You're going to school. I mean, I get it.
Going to school, but on the sense of I don't want just my daddy being my daddy. Like, my 18-year-old boy is not finna go play with no 30-year-old.
Fair.
Like, or somebody who's had 3 years or 4 years, sometimes even 5 years of seasoning at the next level.
That's fair.
That would have been his response.
But if you remember, what was this, 10, 15 years ago? The NFL had like over 200 high schoolers declare. Remember, and that's when they made that rule? Y'all remember that? They had like a ton of high schoolers declare for the NFL draft. This was
NFL?
Yes. Now, none of them got drafted. Not one of them got drafted. You can probably look this up.
Would it have been they would have drafted their rights, because they still wouldn't have allowed them to play.
Right.
This was like 15 years ago. Like, I think I was like just graduating high school or something like that.
Is this part of the Claret deal?
I think it was.
The Claret and
yes. Yeah. Around that, it was definitely around that time. And there was high schoolers who they declared for the NFL draft.
Mm-hmm. Can we say this though? I would agree that I don't think, but maybe.
But I agree with you. Like, the kids don't need to be playing with grown men, especially in this game.
But I just think that league is different. Like you have to have what the NFL doesn't have is what baseball has, right? The NFL has no direct feeder in for quality players. We all agree on that. Like, there's no connection to the NFL from any organization that says, "Hey, I exist to just feed you top tier talent," right?
Not officially, but that's pretty much
not officially.
That's pretty much what the NCAA is, though.
And right now they were feeding off an enterprise that was very low cost for them, right?
Yeah.
The NFL has no stake in any of this, right?
Right.
All they have to do is show up because kids want to play football.
Yeah.
Right. But what you're saying, Adrian, is to give you mentioned David Hicks, right? Right, Benny? And to give David Hicks a chance to say, "Hey, man, you're gonna come out. We're gonna pay you. Let's just say we'll make an exception for elite talent, $500K a year, and you're gonna play here for the next 3 years for the Houston blah 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 blahs." Right. That's a conversation I think you have to have at home, bro. You know what I'm saying? But to your point, Benny, David Hicks, I know David Hicks' dad is a coach as well. I'm pretty sure he coaches at Peyto, right? or something like that.
He just got the head job.
He got the head job at Peyto. Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
he with him and his dad being at Peyto, his dad's probably gonna have that same conversation. So it's probably not the same. But again, Adrian Peterson coming out of high school might be a different conversation. You see what I'm saying? Adrian Peterson might be a guy that you can say, "Hey, here's this money. You can play for me, and you'll be the face of my league tomorrow." You see what I'm saying? Or you can go to Oklahoma.
Adrian Peterson, Jadeveon Clowney. There's guys that have come out of high
There's
school.
a couple of them, yeah.
That we look at and go, okay.
DJ Williams is the one. Like he's kind of like the standard. When he came out, even Madden was like, the kid doesn't need to go to college. Like he that's what that's what an NFL player looks like. He actually looks better than the NFL players right now.
You said DJ?
Remember DJ Williams played in Miami?
Yeah. Just make sure I heard you right.
He was the one. He was the one where he didn't need it. And to an extent, you could say Willie Williams was like that too. But on a mental scale, Willie Williams wouldn't have made it.
No.
No.
It's a lot of guys mentally.
And that's another reason why the kids don't need it, because going from being a child where you're going to 7 classes a day to like being in basically the business world, like there has to be steps. Now, are there a couple kids that'll do it and probably be successful? Yeah, but you're gonna start losing more kids.
I don't disagree with you, man. But basketball players were doing it. The Kobe's, the LeBrons, the Kevin Garnett's.
I think the difference is, and
we're talking about the business side of it.
Sure,
they were doing it.
But I think
Jermaine O'Neal's. I mean,
but Adrian, you would have to admit though that basketball, physically, right?
I'm not talking about the physicals.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is that what you're coupling is the on-court success with the off-court failures, or the on-court failures with the off-court failures, right? I can come into basketball and get a lot of wins early mentally, and I'm not ruined. You know what I'm saying? Because we could also talk about, remember, Darius Miles was another one of those guys.
Well, no, there's a lot of guys. There's guys.
You know what I'm saying?
You're always going to have guys that failed. Absolutely.
I think, I don't know. I think basketball is a different beast. I mean, I've obviously not a football bias, but basketball players, like, I think basketball culture is different. You know what I'm saying? I think football culture is another beast, bro. You know, that's where the grown man.
Well, basketball has a stronger players union. That's really the main deal.
And there, I didn't want to use the word coddled, but I guess that's what I'm kind of like alluding to, right? Like basketball players,
there's no risk. Their money's guaranteed.
Basketball players come in and they're, I can only find 5 guys, well, not 5, but maybe a couple hundred guys that are 6'6" and can run and jump like that. So I got to take care of you. You know what I'm saying? Right. NFL, it's like, hey, man, if you mess up today.
We got somebody that can come in tomorrow.
There's about 60 of y'all. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. 60 of y'all, so. Hey, man, it's been a while. Maybe 3 hours in, bro.
And this was fun. This was fun, guys.
Yeah.
But, I'm always down to talk ball, so.
Yeah. Benny, can we get you on again, man, before the spring hits, bro?
Yeah. I'm coaching baseball, so I mean weekends.
You good to go?
Yeah. Weekends and some Friday nights. I think I got to look at our schedule. I think we play some Thursdays, some Fridays.
Yeah.
This is fun, man. Because it's crazy because like we have these conversations like every day in the coach's office. So like, like it's just like one thing after another, we just going at it about everybody's opinion and stuff, and it's all fun and games. So,
hey man, if you got another one of your buddies, man, I'm sure Adrian would be fine with it, man. I
love different. I learn a lot. So I love different perspectives. I love hearing different point of views. So I'm down for it.
Okay.
I'm down for it.
We'll squeeze out some time, man, and it's been a good one, man. It's definitely been a good one, bro. Good catching up, Benny. Big time.
Hey, Benny, I appreciate you
man,
for giving
catching
me
up
your
with
time.
y'all boys, man. I'm trying to get front row tickets, 50-yard line tickets, like y'all. I'm gonna afford it one day.
Nah, we try to get
Oh, man.
we trying to get that Cuban.
I'm
link
trying to
money,
get the
man.
Cuban link. Like,
Yeah.
Terrance had-
Terrance, well, I thought Terrance was a wholesome dude. He looked like a dope dealer. I ain't gonna say it.
Well,
Terrance
You know
came
what
with
I'm
a
saying?
from South
Floyd Mayweather chain on.
Yeah, he
He
from
from
Rod.
Brown, right?
He from Pompano.
Yeah. Herringbone.
Yeah.
Like I was sitting there like, boy, like man, I almost had to turn my little
The brightness down. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, man, I said just like a Florida boy, man. Get out there, shine real quick, then.
Uh-huh. All right, y'all boys. I'm for the fuck with you later. You know what I'm saying? Come on, bro.
It came out of nowhere 3 hours later. Hey,
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah,
man, I'm like, I saw the little screen popping up. I'm like, who is this? Oh, this is coming there shining. Just light flex, you know.
yeah.
What
Show
kind
you
of shoes he
something.
got on? He probably got some what they call them?
The Balenciagas or something
Balenciagas.
like that. Yeah, he probably got some Balenciagas on, man.
What's the other one called with the big sole?
Or the Yeezys? There must some Yeezys.
Not the Balenciagas. They're all white, and they come with certain colors, like on the back, like different colors on the back.
Wow,
But they're like $800-900 sneakers.
that's too rich for my blood. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
he got the Louboutin. He got the Louboutin sneakers on. Amiri, yeah, something.
There you go.
You know, I'm like, man, it is. I need to talk to him because I sell all of that. So
there you go.
Yeah, I need to talk to him. Like, man, come get some of this merchandise off me, man.
he go flush you out one shot.
Yeah.
One shot.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, man. Well,
hey, man. Like, again, I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate y'all having me, man. Just let me know.
Yeah, bro. We'll line it back up here soon.
We'll be in contact. Maybe Terrance actually show up and not just try to flex on everybody this time and actually talk some sports or something. I don't know.
Yeah, man. We'll figure it out, bro.
But all right, y'all, man. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Y'all take it easy.
Take it easy, y'all. Say hello to everybody in the chat, man. Y'all take it easy.
All righty.
Yeah.
And that's going to do it, y'all. 3 hours strong. I'll holler at y'all later.